months today. Anyway.
Jesus.
Ready? 3, 2. Welcome back to the In the Queue podcast. This is episode number 003.
Very happy to be here. I'm really happy you
we
guys
recorded
have
another one since the last one.
followed up
I don't remember.
with my idea to start In the Queue. This was definitely something that I spearheaded.
For sure. You do all the editing.
All the editing comes from yours truly.
The idea, too, was all yours.
Yes, the idea was
100%.
mine. Yeah.
I am but a puppet. Anyway.
Master puppet.
Who is
You know what?
sponsored by? We should probably mention the sponsors.
Sponsored by Colorado.
Leather. General Leather.
We are sponsored by whiskey and brawn. Not
And
the paper towels, just like manliness in general.
The Reading Railroad from Monopoly.
No,
and Penguin Books.
I feel like we
Reading?
should plug our new album that came out
Yeah.
since the last
Is
podcast.
it even new anymore?
It feels...
So long.
We are so deep into working on
We
the
worked on
next
that record
album.
for over 2 years. So, yeah, it feels very much like it is not
We
new.
have been working on this record for 6 years.
Look at
If you
some of
count
it.
how long ago
true.
we wrote these songs.
That's true.
Some of them, yeah.
Not all of them, but
Some of them are the newest songs we'd ever written.
this is true.
And some of them are the oldest songs we'd ever written.
I will say this: "Cattle in the
Legitimately,
Sky."
I think it was the first song I wrote
Yes.
back in, was it 2014?
Yes.
"Cattle in the Sky." Go listen to it. It's out into the world. 3 hits of
First
acid.
this.
The smash hit. 3 hits of acid. We hope. You know what,
Roaring
Logan?
success.
And before we start too, I just want to real quick talk about. I finished the Billie Eilish documentary last night.
Hells to the
Ooh.
yes.
Holy hell! I teared up on multiple occasions.
Oh yeah, when they were singing "I Love You" on the bed thing,
Yeah,
it's like
and
and she's
Oh,
like
cool.
breaking down. It's
I love hearing about stuff. That
Is
I
it?
haven't
Okay.
seen.
Yeah. Is it on Netflix?
It's on
It's
Apple
on-
TV.
yeah, I did a free trial, so you
Who
can.
has- I was gonna say who
Yeah,
has
no,
Apple TV.
Just cancel after.
But
There's nothing else on there.
that's not true at all.
I
Servant.
can't even.
There actually
on
were a lot
Hulu.
of documentaries I saw. I don't know any of the shows, but it was
All
like
the shows are
related
great.
things, and they looked good.
Anyway, watch it. It's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, seeing her go from like Ocean Eyes to an armful of Grammys is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's just very real. There's like half of it's just iPhone footage of like her throwing a bitch fit because whatever. It's the same arguments we have, which is what really hit home
Yeah.
for
They're
me.
just like mad about like. I don't know, the process of having to go about writing it. Too many takes. It's like I'm not feeling it anymore. I don't want to try to write a hit. I want to do that. Like I want to just write. Well, we feel like we want to write. Why are we aiming for that? That sort of thing, and being mad about label stuff.
Yes.
It's interesting. It's not at all like a sugar coated. Like it's so fun
it's
to be a
very
musician. We
relatable,
made
yeah.
it. It's like. It's. I mean, especially at her level, being mobbed by fans all the time. It's legitimately Beatlemania type of level stuff.
I think a lot of artists actually are hit with that. It's a weird thing. Kendrick even mentions in one of his lyrics in Damn, where he's going through like so many people want like it's like they see the filter of fame and they want that. They don't want the actual reality of it. And I think that is so true. Something we even had to grapple with for a while.
It looked very lonely. I will say that.
Yeah, it did.
It's like, oh man. She's like, I got to bring one friend on this tour, and I was like, probably my favorite part of the whole thing is like. She's like, well, we're millionaires. And it's like, we're not millionaires. We do have millions of dollars. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit. Anyway, watch it. It's incredible. It's
really
so good. I will say this, too. I kind of slighted you last podcast. I stole the starting spot. So I want you to start with your first pick. I can help you if need be.
No, I got. I'm gonna probably start with Childish Gambino's Redbone. Mm-hmm. I was a little late to the show on that one because that came out 2017, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple years ago.
But it's so good. It's so good. But it perfectly blends like the funk psychedelia and soul and then also some of that very, I guess it's still kind of psychedelic rock with the ending, just that orchestral bit. It's so good.
I will say the words modern classic.
Yeah, neo-retro.
No, I mean just like that song. Everybody knows that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a lot of Childish Gambino over the last couple of years until the last few months. We started talking about it more. But that song always popped up on my algorithm on YouTube, and so I would hear it a lot, and I really liked it. And then when he did This Is America, obviously,
I still haven't even heard that one.
it was a big hit. The video is really
cool. This is the first time I've seen some clips from it,
so
but I've never
I
actually
first heard it with the video, and I feel like that makes the best impression.
Yeah.
At least for somebody like me who doesn't naturally I wouldn't gravitate towards that until I saw it, and I was like, "This is cool. I like it."
moment for me too was seeing Get Out, Jordan Peele directed.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, but
I saw. I loved Us, but I haven't
one
seen
of the
Get Out
first
yet. I need to.
scenes is like they're dudes in his apartment and Redbone is playing, and I think that's on my my notes here is like it kind of became a meme. It was like if you go on YouTube, it's like Redbone playing behind the door at a party while you're in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and it's like what? So I think that's part of the rise to fame for that song.
Well, it's funny too because you said it was like an instant classic, but I was looking at the credits and George Clinton and Bootsy Collins are credited as songwriters on that track. They're because it's basically not a ripoff. But a little bit of a ripoff of Bootsy's
We're
song.
thankful for the ripoff.
I'd rather be with you.
Yeah.
And you can definitely hear like the chord progression on the Where Lizard at the beginning is very similar, just kind of the approach. But it's also interesting because in that one he sings much more just a classical like funk soul type of falsetto deal.
Yeah.
But in the other songs on that album, because I've been listening to the whole album, it's just so good. But he has much more of a Bootsy Collins funkadelic type approach vocally. Like with that, like very characterized theatrical. Like I'd rather be with you. Oh, yeah.
He's got an incredibly
That's like
versatile
what the
voice.
and like it has very much of that sort of approach
Dramatic,
with
theatrical,
with California and zombies and
Super
those, yeah.
versatile vocalist.
It's just interesting. He very much taken a lot from funkadelic Parliament stuff. You know.
Listen to Kawhi. Have you
Kawhi is
listened-
actually the one
I
I
have not
listened to
yet.
first, and as soon as I heard that record, no, actually that's not true. I love Childish Gambino simply because he's an artist that you can really see the change happen. I mean, starting with more
Yeah.
of like that lyrical rap because the internet, and then going into because the first song. Oh, I can't. I'm gonna mess this up for sure. The first one I heard was just at work. I was bartending,
3000
and
or-
it was this like the sweatshirt song or sweater song. It's kind of a thing.
I think that's Weezer.
That's Weezer, I know, but like there's
Sweater
he
weather?
has, he
But
has one
neighborhood?
where it's called like pajamas or something like that. It's like just
I feel like I saw the track title. I
Yeah.
haven't listened to it yet, but I think it's Pajamas.
that's the one that I was introduced to first. And I remember talking to our younger brother Jacob about it. He's like, "You'd probably love Childish. You should check out his stuff." Kawhi was like going from Because the Internet to Kawhi. It's a little jarring because you don't realize for a minute you're listening to the same artist. It goes straight into this more R&B like classical soul vibe.
It's interesting though. You talk about progression because from album to album, I don't see him like linearly. Is that a word? Progressing. I see them as like each album is their own idea. It's like okay,
Yeah.
this is what he's doing for the next couple years.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I mean. Is like it's cool to see him go like I'm focused on this.
I just
All
tried
right,
to
I'm bored.
drink.
Next.
I just tried to drink my microphone. I was like coffee microphone.
Rala.
I'm an idiot. Move on.
No, I really just love the way that he's progressed as an artist, and he's continued to find the next thing that interests him. Because for us, I think that's what we keep going back to. Is like, okay, we did this record, Cattle in the Sky's out, and I love Cattle in the Sky.
I do too.
But even more than I love listening to this album, I like playing it because we have already progressed beyond the ideas of the actual tracking, and that's pushed us to these new songs we're getting ready to create, that we're actively creating. Even after this podcast, we're going right into more
I
recordings.
don't think we like bands that do the same album over and
No.
over. I mean, probably the closest, but the Doors, they kind of
And
a
so
little
much,
stagnant, but
so much of
But their first one and second one, bangers.
like
Yeah.
in the third one even.
Third
so
one
much
banged.
of
fourth.
so much of a record is a point in time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we recorded that, I mean, especially because of COVID, well over a year ago. And so it's like, and some of those songs are even older than that. So to kind of put them together at a point in time, it's like, we're not those people anymore.
Collection.
We
Yeah.
still have to promote that and, you know, whatnot. But
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I have no problem with that,
It
yeah.
perfectly captures what
Yeah.
we were doing, but
I'm
it's,
excited to move on.
We're different people now. We've grown a lot in our musical tastes and our approach to how we want to write, and our just our songwriting ability in general, and the way we work as a collective. Because
Yeah.
we've learned so much more about how we write together.
I think part of this podcast helps with that. It's like, you know, it's like, why do you like this? Okay, explain that to me further. I understand now, and I can kind of see where you're coming from. Do you have anything else to say about that? Anybody? Mueller?
Childish is
Um,
rad.
ooh,
I
I
just bought
do-
his album.
The best.
I was actually gonna shout out also Ludwig Göransson. I'm not sure the
Mhm.
producer, because from my research, it seems like he was
Very
mainly the
influential.
one who put that song together. Childish Gambino came in with lyrics, but he brought a drum beat to him.
Yeah.
There's just like that. The beat of Redbone.
I appreciate
then-
your interest in backstory
And
so
then
much.
this Ludwig Göransson, who's the one who produced all of his records actually, but he was like, oh cool, yeah, let's start writing around it, and came up with the chords, wrote the guitar part, wrote the bass thing, recorded all of it, and it's really impressive. But it seems like it was mostly him, and it doesn't bum me out, but it's like you don't know that. Everyone's like, damn, Childish Gambino's a genius, and it's like, yeah, I mean he's great, but he wouldn't have done that by himself. Yeah. And so I just wanted to make sure the producer who basically wrote the song gets a bit of credit
where
on
credit
that.
is due.
I mean, and also Bootsy Collins.
True.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I just
Jack you up?
I spilled water all over myself just now. So
You are
really
an
good.
embarrassment
Yeah.
this episode.
guys, I need to take it easy.
Did the
It's
water
cool.
come from your microphone?
It did not. My first pick
Hit me with it.
was Unchained Melody by
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
the incredible Elvis Presley. And I noticed the theme in our song picks this week. It's like you guys went very modern, and me and
Yeah.
Logan went like. But I think that speaks a lot to who we are as a band too. It's like trying to move things forward, but also taking inspiration from the past. Anyway, live in Maine somewhere.
Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, not in Maine. Maps exist. Never seen one before, but I found this because it was a YouTube recommended thing in my in the little sidebar, and I was like, oh, later years Elvis. Let's watch this shit show, and I cried. It was like 3 a.m. I should have been asleep, but we never are.
No.
We keep odd hours, and first, like in the video, it's obviously not in the recording, but he's so out of breath and just like stuffed into this pleather suit, and
He can afford real leather. You know it's real.
I mean, listen, okay, like I like how I have yet to talk about the music.
Yep.
It's like anyway, he's wearing sequins, which affects how it sounds.
Tom Ford probably.
Yeah, I mean, listen, okay.
Whoa.
Shots fired on Tommy Ford. And he's so out of breath, and he's walking over to the piano, he's saying he's going to play this new song, and you're like, oh my gosh, how did people not see that this man was just on the brink of? I mean, he was destroying
Tiptoeing
himself.
to death's doorstep.
And then
what year was that? Do you know?
70s sometime.
They
maybe
had
late
to.
70s.
People knew, right?
Yeah,
they
but
knew he was
It's like
on his way
He
out.
was kind of
Right.
oddly sacrificed by, I guess, I don't know, pop culture. Like, in his time, it's like they put him under so much pressure to be this.
Yeah, the dichotomy of you were the biggest thing since sliced bread, and now it's like, do you give up? Is that more noble than like continuing to do this thing that you love? Anyway, sits down at the piano, and just his voice is almost operatic. It's like,
Yeah.
and I know that he's not playing all those piano parts because especially in the video, it's like, oh, there's a glitch that happens that he does not do, but.
Well, I mean, you just listen to the whole thing. It's like it's this kind of thing, and he's just playing
Yeah,
single notes and like kind of doing the.
I doubt
like,
that piano's even mic'd,
It very likely
Yeah.
is not.
but
They actually
Still
took out
like
the
it.
strings.
beautiful, a beautiful performance. Like I'm telling you, the track itself doesn't do it justice because I listened to it today and I was like, it's not as impactful. It's just okay.
When you can see him like suffering. As
Well,
he
someone's
sings it,
holding
it
the
does-
mic for
yeah.
him at the piano,
Yeah.
and he's like, and it's like he's like, I haven't had pills in at least 45 minutes, and I need them now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I think that's the reality of it. Anyway,
His voice did sound a lot better than I anticipated, especially because I'd heard some of the late Elvis stuff, and it's
Mhm.
so overdone that I
Yeah.
was thinking it would be that way. But it was much more of a bit of a classical approach, which was
yeah, and
interesting, and he sounded good.
that when he goes
But-
up for the high, then are you still mine? This like I was like, oh, this man is. How is somebody so close to death this good at making notes with his mouth? Anyway, what
And
did
that's
you,
where it
Muller?
ends
What did
for
you
him.
think about it? We haven't heard from you yet today. Say some words,
Into the mic.
but also speaking to the microphone.
I don't know, man. Elvis has always been a weird spot for me. It's hit or miss. And with that kind of style, like you said, operatic, it sounds nicer, but still, I can't get over the just the whole. I love Elvis, and I'm gonna eat my words saying this.
No,
To me, it feels too gimmicky, and I can't.
It's a cliche. I mean, like,
and I don't. He fell victim to his own
oh sure,
style, and I didn't.
he became a meme of himself.
I've never clicked with Elvis. I can appreciate what he's done, but it didn't really.
Yeah.
Little
I think that's-
backstory.
Didn't
I don't think that I
grab me.
get to choose Roy Orbison over Elvis without Elvis existing, but
Yeah.
I choose Roy Orbison over Elvis in my brain. I think that
That's
there's
interesting.
no there's just about you can't say that there's an artist that hasn't in some way been influenced by Elvis,
Sure.
because so many of the artists that we are influenced by looked up to him like he was the god of music.
Yeah.
And I think that that's
Which-
where his importance is,
Some,
and
yeah.
his I guess I don't know what makes him special to me is his music last. It's his
Yeah.
existence first, and the fact that he influenced so many people. His life was way more interesting than his music to me.
To me, there, like you're saying, actually, you kind of just nailed it. He was more of like a presence overall. I feel like his certain artists, their music is really what shines through, or maybe it's like their personality. With him, it was like the picture that came with Elvis, that rock and
Yeah.
roll image, wasn't necessarily the music. Where it is like with Kiss, with me, the music is not where it's
I've
at.
never
It's
had
the
a Kiss
show.
phase. Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? I feel like he was a vibe.
Well, even like to make it a modern look on it, I think that The Weeknd does something very similar to me. I think The Weeknd is great. Obviously, a wonderful singer, great songwriter. Elvis, obviously, great singer. I don't know how much of the songwriting he
0%.
ever did, like ever.
He was credited on some of the songs, but it's because of his label demanded that they get 50% of the songwriting
Gotcha.
credit, but he did not write a
Okay,
single
so he's
song.
a great performer, great
did not know
songwriter,
that.
but his life was more of the performance than the actual music for me.
Yeah.
And just like The Weeknd, it's almost like everything that he does, videos and just general public presence, is continuing this strange reality TV show that we're viewing and that everyone's viewing in small segments. So for me, that's the cool thing about Elvis in history, and it's done something cool to music currently.
Yeah.
But I still, like Logan said, Elvis, for whatever reason, is one of those artists that, beyond his early stuff and just feeling how fun and dancey that stuff was for me, it's hard for me to go, I like this and want to actively listen
That's
to it.
pretty much. I mean, that's kind of the point of this pick is.
Yeah.
I live in those early Sun recordings. I love those.
Oh,
not
yeah.
and not
Oh, yeah.
especially for what they were for the time, but something that at this point is now just so overdone. It's just cool because it's like it's not like he was doing groundbreaking things by today's standards, but like back then, he was going to a studio storefront and writing, like recording hit records.
The thing is, though, it wasn't even groundbreaking back then. It was just radio friendly because he was white. So I mean,
Yeah,
he
very true.
was. I mean, Little Richard, Ike Turner, James Brown,
Yep.
Al Green. All these guys, BB King, they were doing Big Mama Thornton,
the
Hound
same
Dog,
kind of great
Same
stuff, but they were getting
and his
nowhere near the
producers
recognition.
came in and were like, "Hey, we need a face for
Yeah.
it that'll sell," and he did.
I
it
appreciate
worked,
that
but-
perspective.
But I feel like it pains me sometimes to see him labeled as the king. Jordan and I were just
Yeah, we were
talking about
just-
that.
we
when
had to
didn't
stop and
write,
save ourselves
He didn't come
from
up with the
talking too much about
style.
it.
He didn't do it. It's just like a good face.
He was just a pretty guy with a great voice. They're
Yep.
like, hey, we're going to do this. There's these other great artists. The problem is they're black, so we aren't going to be able to sell them.
Yeah, and it's
you're
like, no,
white.
you're the
Will you
king.
sing
We-
kind of like this? And it drives me crazy.
We're
Yeah.
touching on
Yeah.
a bigger issue here,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is the machine. Anyway, let's not get
Yeah.
too far into that
But,
because
yeah, it's-
that's an entire. We might hurt a lot of feelings that way. Feelings
they
of.
deserve
Sorry,
to be
Grandma.
hurt
Listen,
someday.
Elvis
Very
wasn't
true.
first, as much as you loved him.
I don't have anything else to say about that other than hell yeah.
Still
Yeah.
a great song, though.
Yeah, no,
I still think
yeah.
the performance
Great
is
voice,
unbelievable.
great- he definitely has his big mark in history.
Mm.
It's just I don't want the other ones, the people that invented the style, the blues
Sure.
artists, to get just overshadowed just because
There's
he
something.
is the
It's
popular
It's
one.
the
you know?
second one where we're like credit where credit is due.
There's
Yeah.
something I
Basically.
really appreciate about being able to see pain in music,
Yeah.
and you can see his struggle, and
Yeah.
I feel like that really helps me
The Billie
emotionally
Eilish thing.
connect
Yeah.
with songs when you
Yeah.
can see that it comes from a genuine place. It's not, even though somebody probably wrote that for him,
Mhm.
like I am now
That's
figuring
what it
out.
is.
a standard.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So exactly, it was just a cover. It's it makes it a personal connection when you can see somebody's just struggling
God,
to even
beautiful
survive
song.
enough to play it.
And I feel
Yeah.
like that's where his talent was, is that he can connect to the lyrics, even though he had no connection to the
Yeah,
lyrics.
he could make it relatable.
Yeah, he what's the word? Projects what it's meaning through his voice, which is a talent on its own. That you have to be a good singer. You have to be able to do that. But
You've seen the studio footage of him singing something, right? Something
by the
by
Beatles?
Yeah.
No.
He's like in the studio, and it's probably weeks after that song came out, and they're just kind of going through the changes and figuring it out, and it's cool, but it's also like it's weird to think about all these people interacting with each other, even if it's not directly. But yeah, anyway, we could go on and on about that. Jordan?
Yep. So my first choice is "Lust" by Kendrick Lamar on the Damn record. The Damn record.
Damn.
No, this is
Put out the
arguably
damn record.
one of my favorite records ever. Like over and over again. I love a lot of records.
I spun this a few times, like right when it came out, and then I just never touched it again. It's great, but I feel like there's just so much that I listen to on a regular basis, and then like there's things that pop up. I'm like, wow, that's incredible, and then it just gets lost in the void.
This is one that doesn't get lost for me.
Especially
This is
because it's
one-
popular.
for
a lot
me,
of people listen
sure.
to it.
that I didn't get into for a while, because I this is another one I was just late to it. I'm late to a lot of these artists, but
It's hard to be on time with
I know.
everything. There's so much put
For
out
real.
there.
But I got into the To Pimp a Butterfly pretty recently, and I was in love with it. I mean, I still
yeah.
am. I think it's definitely the best record to come out that year. One of the best of the decade for sure. Way up there.
Should have won more
if
awards.
It's not the best, but anyway, and I was still riding high on that one. And so when you were like, "Yeah, I'll listen to Damn," I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna check it out." I'm still like loving To Pimp a Butterfly. Let's hear this. I was like, "What the hell did he do?" like he just dropped off. I was like, yeah, "This is horrible comparatively," but I needed to get through To Pimp a Butterfly.
You have
and
to
kinda
you
get
have to
past
let
it.
that marriage with your emotions
now-
and a record go
Yep.
the full distance
Yep.
Yeah.
before you move on, because he's another artist that is
He changes
changing
it.
as he goes.
Yeah.
And if you go and do Because the Internet and then go all the way to listening to
Awaken My
Kawhi
Love or
and
something,
yeah,
yeah.
if you do it just like back to back, it's jarring.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just going back to
100%.
talking about Childish.
So but when you sent over this one, I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. We'll see what happens. And I loved it. So I went and listened
Yep.
to the whole record. And I'm really into it now. I
Yep.
think it's amazing. But at the time, I was not ready for it.
I get
when I
that.
first listened,
I definitely
I
get
was-
that.
I was
And I
wanting
think
to Pimp a Butterfly Part 2, and it is not.
I
that.
think To Pimp a Butterfly was the perfect introduction for you.
Yeah.
Because of all of the
Jazz
involvement
influence.
from Kamasi Washington and Thundercat and just all these insane
Yeah.
musicians that are there
It's-
doing stuff.
It's funny. I'm looking at my notes. The songs that I picked, I wrote almost nothing about like the musical content, and then your guys' picks, I'm like analyzing how the song works and stuff. You know, like I'm like using reverse, like playing a wave in reverse for the foundation of a beat. That's like pretty ballsy.
That is.
Yeah.
It's
'Cause
really cool, though.
That could be a taxing sound over and over
true.
and over.
Well, and after you really get into like what Lust is about and why the song is so cool lyrically, the production starts to blow your mind. It
It's
is
very cool.
insane. Especially where it actually hit me the hardest was when I was watching a live video of him performing Lust, because the way that they just to bring it all back, I want to talk about every aspect of the song. I'm getting excited. So first of all, this is the only song on the record that features Bad Bad Not Good and Kamasi Washington.
Yeah.
So
Not know
they're
that.
actually
Well, does it feature Bad Bad Not? I know they produced it.
they produced it.
So
yeah.
I don't know if they're on it or not, but I know they produced a lot of the record actually. Bad Bad Not Good.
So that's just like that feel to begin with. We all love Bad Bad
Yeah.
Not Good. So the fact that they're involved, brilliant, love it. But the song is beyond the fact that it feels so good. Like the song is about going through the motions of a typical day, and like how as you're going through them, you get caught up in stuff that keeps you from moving forward in life. So like it's going through the first like bit of the verse, and he stops, and there's like a moment where he goes, "Hold up." And then starts the verse again, and it's because he's going through just like it's like a weird token. I just got like weird chills thinking about it because it's so
It is
true.
so good.
Just like going through your day, and you're like, I'm gonna do this shit. I'm gonna do like all this stuff to make my day the best. I'm moving forward in what I'm doing, and then you're like, what's up, Instagram? Or like, oh, I'm gonna watch TV. Or sandwich took too long to make, so now I'm thrown off. I can't do whatever bullshit I was gonna
Been
do.
there, right?
And so it's so interesting to think about how. We do get caught up in these weird, mundane tasks and never do the shit we really want to do. And at the end of one of his things, he says, "It's whatever, just make it count." Like
Yeah.
talking about like go do whatever you want to do, but just know you only get really one shot at this life, and if you don't do whatever you want to the point of making it count, you're fucked.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Yep.
Um,
And I just
It's-
said a lot of words. I'm so sorry I cussed Mom.
it's funny you talk about going in and out of it, or like restarting parts of the song.
Yeah.
Because there is like a drop in this song about halfway through, but then you lose it. It goes away, but then it comes back. It's not like a heavy drop. It's just a thicker beat.
Where it
that
kind of
comes
gets
in.
into another vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's in and out for the rest of the song. You're like, oh,
Talking
okay.
about like the part where it's like all he's talking about maybe I've been lusting too much over the fans. Maybe
I think
maybe
like
Yeah,
2.5
yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
like
yeah. 2.5
And it's like all the
minutes in.
echoey stuff.
And instead of that, like relying heavily on that kind of reverse sound, there's like actual drums that come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like more acoustic sounding drums.
Yeah.
And it's funny because from a feel perspective, this is one of the rare occurrences that I was not listening to the words. It's like, oh, okay, oh, okay, I lost the beat. Oh, it's back again. It takes you in and out of it from a musical perspective, and then hearing you talk about the lyrics, it's funny how there's parallels there. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else got something on that? Or I got a couple more things, but
I'm
I mean-
still on To Pimp a Butterfly.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I've cycled through it now, I think twice, and still I like the first half more. I start to fall off as it grows, but I don't think it's always because I'm listening to it while I'm driving, and I'm usually getting close to wherever I'm going,
Yeah,
like at like that halfway point, but
It's definitely
still,
one that you need to listen to the lyrics.
Yeah,
Because I know we talked about we don't listen to them
Mhm.
often.
Yeah,
So
it makes a big
holds you
difference.
on a little
Yeah.
more.
again,
'cause
great,
it's great
absolutely
lyrically.
phenomenal record that I just never go back to.
Really?
And that's like, I don't know why that is. And it's incredible. It's in my recents on Spotify, and I just
Yeah.
I'm listening to other things.
Yeah.
It's weird. There's
Is it-
another point that I wanted to make, which was surprisingly minimal in production,
Oh yeah.
which is exciting because it's kind of like the after I got Billie Eilish on the brain after watching that, like them sitting in their room producing things. It's like, how much do you need really?
there's obviously a ton of post-production that's going into this particular song, but I also don't totally agree with the idea of like there isn't that much to the song. It's the way that we've gone about songs in our brains. We're always trying to do everything we can to, by ourselves, fill a sound space. And
Yeah.
that is the hardest thing to work yourself out of, to go, no, you don't have to open up. Don't open up the crash ride. No, you don't have to open up. You don't need full chords on 6 different keyboards.
Talking about taking
we
things
don't
away.
need me to play like
But-
the
Well, I
loudest
think it's
chord.
it's simplistic in the same way of like Claire de Lune. It's simplistic, but there's a lot that went into
Yep.
where those notes go.
I'm just
it's not
saying-
that it's like it's not Beethoven going crazy
Right.
or Rachmaninoff, all this stuff. It's intentional bits. So
At
it's
any
still
moment.
a lot, but it's sparing.
That's
you
why,
know?
honestly, I think right now my favorite song we're working on is "Sleepwalk."
Yeah.
Because
I
that's I don't
it's a
do
banger.
hardly anything
is.
in that song. I'm arpeggiating the same chords almost the
Yeah.
entire time, and that's why I like it.
I'm just saying, at
Which
any
is
point,
not out yet, just so everyone knows.
That song's not out yet.
Clear.
We're talking about stuff we're
Who
who
writing.
knows how long it's going to take me to edit this podcast. So
Hey, true.
see you next year, folks. Folks. At any point in this song, though, pause and try to pick out everything that's happening. It can't be any more than like a handful of things.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, there's and I was like, it doesn't take a lot to really be intentional about like the message you're trying to convey, especially, both lyrically and musically.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot though to get to where it feels so
Intentional.
well and exciting while still being so scarce, because it's easy to just be like, yeah, I'll throw like a couple things in, because I've been listening to just a lot of records lately trying to find just new things, and I'll be like, okay, there's just nothing happening here. You didn't even think about what to do. Nothing's
Yeah.
changing. Nothing's doing anything. There's not something that's
It's
keeping
like, oh, good,
people's
yeah.
interest.
So there's all those sounds are there. Yeah, we want guitar, we want keyboards,
Yeah.
we want this, but everyone's doing the same thing. There's
yeah,
nothing
or it'll
that
be the
matters.
opposite, and everyone wanted to play as much as they could. And it's like, yeah, this is just as
Yeah.
unexciting. I don't know if that's a word.
Meaningless.
As doing nothing, because I can't tell what anybody's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a weird balance, and it takes a very specific type of mind, I think, to create that sort of
Oh, yeah.
scarcity that comes out as what would be intricate, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Last note for me, just a little bit about the live performance aspect of Kendrick Lamar that I think is so cool. I watched a late night performance with Steve Colbert that he did in 2000. Like, was it? I don't know. What was it? 2016 or something like that. It was like 5 years ago. But it was for To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah.
They do the opening track and then they do King Kunta.
Oh, is that the Wesley's Theory? Yeah.
Yes, but only like pieces of it. And the way they're going about it, the stops and the like rhythm on how it's happening reminded me so much of Talking Heads.
Yeah.
So much. You got to check it out. It's funky. The whole band is playing. Like it's like
That's a weird connection.
I'm sensing a thing. I feel like that comes up every time.
Well, no, it reminded
like,
me
you know
of
what
like
this
the
song
way that
reminds me
like the way that David Byrne like moves and the way that
Yeah.
he goes about stuff. It's not that Kendrick's doing the same thing.
I could see,
but it's pulled from that same sort of his whole body. Everything is into like what he's performing.
I haven't seen it yet, but I could also see it being that he's influenced by the people or the guy that influenced Talking Heads, Fela Kuti.
Oh yeah,
because he's the same type of showman. It's a different approach in the same type of music in general, you know. So it could be even that he's pulling from, because he's, I believe, from Ghana.
Okay.
So I could definitely see, because I mean, the To Pimp a Butterfly especially is rooted in his trip to Africa, because he went to see like the why can't I think of his name?
Guy from Africa.
It's the thing where people are like, oh yeah, the Berenstain Bears thing. Why can't I think of Mandela?
Yeah,
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went to see like the site of his grave or something, and like
Got you.
that whole thing inspired him a lot with To Pimp a Butterfly, and a lot of the lyrics are about that. So I could definitely see him looking into like historical African musicians like Fela Kuti and being a big influence on.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Check out that performance. But the performance that he did with Lust that I thought was so cool was like he's on this stage in the middle of the arena, and he just disappears into the actual like stage in the center, and it lifts up slowly, and it's a cage surrounded by LED lights, and it's just more weird but wonderful imagery in the way that he goes about his performances. Where like I mean he's talking about like being captive to your own like I guess mundane deviations, and probably a lot more than that. But it's just like the way they went about it. The performance is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Kendrick, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Good job, buddy.
Not that you need my congratulations, but thank you.
You know what I'm excited about? I'm excited to hear Logan Mueller talk today.
Yeah. Mueller, you go.
My first pick, I guess we kind of talked about individually picking certain songs or doing whatever. It was just Black History Month. I know today is the 1st, I think, of March. It was just February. So we decided, I picked my songs, a week ago, I think is kind of how it happened. My first pick was a song that I've actually been listening to for years, and it always makes me feel kind of weird to drive around and listen to it or wherever I am, because it feels like an emotional experience maybe that I can't relate to, and it makes me feel, I don't know, almost irresponsible or something listening to it. Like it's a weight that should be taken more seriously. So I should introduce the song.
Yes.
It's called
I
Strange Fruit, sung by Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
It's not written by her, actually. It was written by this Jewish activist that was like a civil rights kind of guy that
Abel
lived.
something.
Yeah, Abel.
Maris.
It's like
Brother of
or
Cain?
something.
Yeah.
Meeropol, or I don't know how to say it. It was spelled really strange, but he lived in the Bronx. He saw a photo of 2 young black men that were lynched like from the 30s, and this was not long after that, I believe, because Billy was given this song, like just a few years later. So he wrote it as a poem, but then he was like, this would make a great song. I guess at the time, how things worked, he like just gave it to like a jazz club owner, and like that guy just bounced it around to different.
I mean, that's
singers
what we
and was
do,
like,
right? We just write songs and give them to people.
He was like, at least from what I read, was that it was kind of given around to a few different people, and nobody really wanted it. And then Billy connected with it when it was, kind of given to her, because her father had died at like age 39, being turned away at a hospital because he had some sort of lung infection and he was black, and they wouldn't allow him into the hospital, so he died out front. It was really sad. She never really got over that. Obviously, that's a horrible thing to happen. So when she heard the song, she kind of related to it in that sense, and it's actually really crazy how it works out. I really like how she first played it out. So her first performance of it, she requested, like certain things, like she's in her venue that she always plays in, and they turn off all the lights. She asked all the servers and waitresses and everybody, to like stop serving for this last song. They made the room completely black and then just put a single spotlight on her face. So it was like super dramatic imagery.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think this song kind of evokes imagery like that. Because
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I heard it, and the first thing that popped into my brain was you in like a study.
Yeah.
Like a dim lit room,
Uh-huh.
just like smoking a pipe by yourself.
Oh, it's a very...
I'm like, you've definitely done that
Yeah.
to this song.
Dude,
before.
it's a dark, emotional song, and it feels weird to just listen to it like on a bright, sunny day when you're driving around. But like I said,
This was one, like, because we talk about how we don't listen to lyrics. This is
Yeah.
one I had on a record of Billie Holiday's.
Uh-huh.
It's like the 5th or 6th song. So
Yeah.
usually I'm like reading or something.
Yeah.
By that point, I'm not listening to the
Where
lyrics. that
you
much.
never...
So I knew the song, and then I listened to it again. I was like looking at the lyrics as I read. I was like, holy shit!
Yeah. Oh, it makes you sick
This
almost.
is like
Right.
I'm like depressed.
Yeah.
And then also doing the research because
Yeah.
you come across the photo that he.
I see. I haven't seen the photo.
It's
Oh yikes!
absolutely
it's horrifying.
horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, it will.
Mhm.
It's the 2 men who were lynched.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
hanging from trees.
Well, yeah.
and
it
then,
happens
but
a lot.
like I've seen pictures like that in history books and things.
Right.
But this one especially, there's a mob of white people
Oh.
sitting out there, and they just all look like they're at a fair. Like
Yeah.
they're like it's
Yeah.
men and women just looking out. They're like having a fine time, and 2 dead men hanging
Dude.
from a tree. It's
Well, so yeah,
hard to believe.
It inspired him enough
The
as
monsters
just an
of,
activist.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
just
feels
to
like
write
an
about it.
alternate reality.
It-
It doesn't feel like
Well,
that's
something
what's
that can
crazy.
be
Is that
possible.
it's so
doesn't.
recent.
Well, so
in
that-
know.
Yeah.
terms
I
of
know.
history.
Well, so
human
this is-
history.
Yeah.
This is where it
Ah.
gets even crazier, and why I feel like it's still relatable to today's age, because we're still seeing these same problems. I mean,
Yeah.
there were black people lynched this last year. Like
Yep.
that's fucking unspeakable.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I don't know why these things happen in the world. Regardless, it was a really beautiful song the way she presented it, and I think it can do a lot of good with the right people listening to it because it gives you perspective. Maybe me listening to it, I feel at least like a little more insightful of the situation and how dark it really is. But her first performance of it was super dramatic. She, like as soon as she finished the song, she requested no encore. The lights went off. She disappeared. Then like lights came back on. Everybody's like, "Where is she?" But it was a cool performance. But the saddest part of it all was basically a lot of people attribute that song to her death directly, because there was this guy at the time, the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, was this guy Henry like Anslinger or something.
Yeah.
And he was like a known racist. Nobody could do anything about it. He was, really known for revoking cabaret cards or whatever those cards are. Jazz musicians had to have at the time to play in clubs.
That was so whack.
There's
no.
so
yeah,
much about it.
right,
Jim
exactly. Yeah, it's
bullshit.
so much
Yep.
racism. Well, anyways, this guy was like dead set after he heard her sing that song. He was like, "Oh, this is the devil's music. Like you're doing the wrong thing. I'm gonna put a stop to it." So obviously, he asked her to stop playing the song. She said no.
Can't imagine he asked
Hell yeah.
nicely.
So no, so
I feel like he asked.
I've
So-
heard that he
feel like-
was described as an extreme racist, even
Yeah.
for the 30s, and that
Right,
when
right.
everyone was
Okay.
at least
So-
mostly racist.
Put it this
Like,
way. I can't
if
even
he-
imagine what it would be like to
Like-
be in her shoes back then, let alone today, right?
right.
Yeah.
To have the gall to say no to somebody as terrifying as
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
Knowing
And
what
someone
he's
high up
capable
in the
of.
government, not even
Right.
just
Right, this guy's for the
And it's
Federal
like-
Bureau of Narcotics.
Right,
Like
and
he's
it's like
he's
her musical prowess
Yeah.
stands on its own, but like think about the
This is
balls.
life
Well-
and death.
well,
Legitimately.
ridiculous.
yeah. So this is what it boils down to. This dude is so hellbent on getting her to stop singing the song, you know what I mean? He sets up some sort of deal where, like, basically, a lot of people were smoking weed back then. I think Billy was a marijuana user. I mean, big deal. Everybody
Hell
is.
yeah.
Jazz musicians
She
all over that.
so yeah, exactly.
never
Thelonious,
play
I
the
know
right
he was.
notes.
I know Thelonious got in trouble like multiple times with
Yeah.
his card getting revoked for marijuana and stuff. But no, basically they set her up and sold her heroin. It was like some of Anslinger's dudes. They threw her in jail for a year and a half. So she
Yeah.
got out. She was still like determined to keep singing, playing in clubs, but she couldn't play in a lot of the clubs that she was in. So she was still I think from that point on she was still playing sold out shows at like Carnegie or
yeah,
whatever.
Carnegie Hall.
Yeah. But her 40s roll around. She's been out of prison. Her voice starts kind of deteriorating. She's had a lot of health issues. So she checks herself into the hospital. This dude is still so determined to put a stop to her that she checks herself into a hospital with a similar condition that her father had, some sort of lung deterioration issue. And this dude literally like sent his men in to stop all the doctors, all the nurses from helping her. They handcuffed her to a bed, and then she slowly died.
They just left her there to die?
The same way her father did, yep. Just like she was literally in the hospital, and they refused to give her treatment. So she died at like, it was real early 40s for her. And it's sad because it's literally the same way her dad died. Yeah. And it was all over the song and this Henry Anslinger dude. So he was a real piece of work. Regardless, it's a beautiful song, and it obviously has a lot of crazy history that ties into it. And I think it's just a cool thing to look back on and understand that it's crazy that we're in 2021 and we're still seeing more than half the civil rights issues that we were back then, and it's gotten worse. I don't know how, but I don't know what we got to do. But
I saw this other thing too, that Columbia didn't want her to record it.
Yeah,
and it was her label at the time, and they said that they weren't really going to do it. They think it's going to be basically
cause too much trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be a career suicide essentially.
But that's the art that's worth making, though.
Yeah,
it's like you're trying to make people feel something. You know what I'm saying? And like it was in that Billie Eilish documentary. It's like there's a scene where her mom's like, "Are you sure you want to use the lyrics? Like jump off the roof?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's what I want to do." Like, what am I going to be like? Oh man, wish I could go kick rocks. No, I want to jump off the roof.
Yeah.
Well, so
they gave her
tall
one. Like a day to go record it, so she went and recorded it with this other label, like under another label, and then it turned out to be her best-selling record that she'd ever recorded, which
still
is
to this
crazy.
Day, I feel like well, anyway, so that's that wraps up that whole song, but I think it's a really cool song. It's got a lot of cool meaning, and I don't know. I think it's still really relevant today.
Man.
But
the lyrics are, I mean, it is a poem, so obviously he was intending a lot for the lyrics. But
oh man, it's such vivid imagery.
It is.
That it puts you in it, and it really
it's a great way of framing something so terrible
that people like us who were born from the '90s and on can still understand maybe how this was such a horrible thing without ever seeing it directly.
And such a common and I don't know expected thing that those people like in the photo were not phased whatsoever by it.
Exactly.
They were walking
in fact they were enthused.
It's like, I
mean, by the sounds of it, I haven't seen.
I mean, it's
well, so apparently that Henry guy was onto a lot of musicians at the time. He kind of
tell me that guy died in a horrific way.
I wish I knew how he died. I'm sure he's dead now. He's got to be.
Did we cut that bloodline?
No clue.
Sure hope so. But I mean, that's
Listen,
you can. That's how those people. Like, it's still so racist today. Is he does have a bloodline? He taught kids how to survive. Those kids taught kids. It's just it's kept going with the. It's hard to break that line.
Yeah, exactly. The hate has to be taught.
How do you teach those kids that grew up with that dad that's like, hey, no, that wasn't the right way?
Exactly.
Because they were taught, I'm sure, their whole
life
that this is the way to be.
Regardless, I saw just the other day, I got on Netflix for a minute, I was scrolling through things, and I saw there's like a brand new documentary about her, Billie Holiday, and just I think a lot of stuff around that song and stuff like that. I didn't look at it. I didn't read the description or anything, but I was like, that's cool. I should watch that and then talk about the Q. But here we are. Haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that. And I think a big part of it is just being aware of, the truth.
Yeah.
Like what, not your truth, the truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But
there's been a lot of great musicians covered up over time purely because the color of their
we
skin.
were just talking about it.
Yeah.
With the Elvis thing, it's like
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it was the biggest of all time, and it's like, yeah, but who was he standing on the shoulder though?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Logan, what's your next pick?
I guess I'll do "Bored" by Tyler the Creator.
Welcome back. This album.
Yes.
Yes. Again, I may have picked "See You Again" if you had not already picked that one.
Oh, it's so good.
But
every song.
Honestly,
Yeah,
legitimately,
you could pick
the
every
reason
one.
I picked this one was just because it's one that you can listen to as your first song. Be like, oh, I'm going to listen to the rest of this record. But I've been just listening top to bottom of this record for the past couple weeks.
It's hard to stop.
It is.
This is a record that's legitimately hard to put
so
down.
Pretty to look at. It's
I
just-
know the colors are really nice.
Yeah.
All of his music videos are so colorful and so
I haven't
pretty.
seen him yet.
So
I should-
well
Oh,
done.
dude,
Just
the videos
do
he does
yourself
with
a
Kali
favor.
Uchis, like the coloring is just.
Do
This
yourself
video-
a favor.
Check it out.
This video too, incredible wig.
For which one?
Have you
For
seen?
board?
Yeah,
Oh, for boredom.
It's the or it's
No,
on
that's
the.
that's
I
Earth.
think
That's
it's
Is it
Earth
Igor.
Board.
boredom or is it
Oh,
bored?
yep, you're right. I'm
Board.
thinking
Is
of
it
something
boredom or
else.
We're
bored?
getting there.
There's
Can't
two
remember.
Tyler songs
Bored.
on
There's
this.
two Tyler
and thank you.
songs on
Sorry.
this.
Yeah, yeah,
Spoilers.
yeah.
Got them
Jordans.
confused. That's my fault.
No, but I was already really impressed with this album, and kind of going back to what I was saying with the Childish Gambino record. He produced this entire thing and recorded it all himself, and that is remarkable for me because it is a very well produced record.
Mhm.
It's so good,
To that point,
it's so well written.
we have this conversation a lot.
Mhm.
You know, we value clarity, but also I think part of what we're into is that kind of lo-fi, like the intro clean guitar. I love that modern music. There's like a renaissance of clean guitar. You don't need all this like you need to
Oh.
play super distorted and rock out all the time. And it's like
Oh yeah.
it's very lo-fi and very achievable. So it's like I'm starting to think, why do you need this big studio to go do what you need to do?
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to us, it's like get it the way you want it to sound and
Mhm.
act on it.
And you
know?
can absolutely dive into big studio stuff. I still love big studios. It's not about like liking or not liking, but working with what you need to make the song better. I mean, we've talked about this in our own song production, like do what's best for the song. I think that also stands true for create the song in the space that's best for the song to be created. Because there's going to be songs where you're going to need more space. You're going to need like things like we talked about having orchestras or having like more built-in things or getting drum sounds the way you want them in a specific room.
I think with acoustic instruments
Yeah.
like that is the
Yeah.
biggest thing because
Yeah.
you do want to get a good room
But I don't need-
sound. But
You don't need to record like a synth
no,
in a giant room.
and we also don't need to record all together necessarily
When
because
I-
we like to layer things.
There's a
and come
time
up
and
with
place for
very-
that, but
yeah.
it's not.
Me relating
Again,
everything
what's
back
best
to that
for it?
documentary. It's like they're just sitting in a bedroom.
Yep.
And I'm just like, they won 1800 Grammys or something this last.
Close.
It was
Close
like
to
1900,
1800,
something like that. Are there even that many? And I'm just like, I'm excited for us to be able to do something like that, where we're spending all this time together,
Mhm.
and we get to create like that, and at least have something that's much more polished than what we're used to at the moment.
Well, God, it would be so much more rewarding too to have an album that like we spent that much time
Yeah.
mixing and recording each individual part, not having somebody sit at the board and do a lot of that.
Want to
And just
spend
knowing
walk
everything
away.
that goes into it
Yeah,
too, like
yeah.
to spend that time to be like, oh, cool, I'm gonna EQ it like this, and you know
Exactly.
how you did it and why you did it,
And it's
what
like-
yeah,
A
there's
lot more
something
rewarding.
there's something
Yeah.
to be said about hands off having somebody else do it for you, but it's like I know how I want things to sound,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so why not get it as close as I can to that and go from there instead of being like, oh well, we spent a bunch of money going to the studio when I probably could have done something myself, even though I'm not as knowledgeable as the people that we're working with.
Mhm.
You can
It's
get
like-
there.
Yeah, why not? So
They've
that's
got books.
Working on it. We got books.
Yes.
I
We got
found a
books.
PDF.
We got
I know.
YouTube.
You want the PDFs all over it. But
No,
yeah,
but yeah.
anyway, back to the contents of the song.
Yeah, and then the features on it, because that's the one with
Hmm.
Rex Orange County again, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
And then who else is on that one? Honestly, I just picked one of the songs I liked, so I don't know so much about that one specifically
Mhm.
as more just the record, but it's just the features on the whole record are so
It
good
is a good
all
record.
over the place.
It's funny
like-
because Tyler the Creator, he's such a badass, but like he also seems very approachable.
Mm.
I'm telling you guys, you need to start indulging
I
in
think
a
you're
little bit of ASAP Rocky because
ASAP
he
is so
pairs-
good.
Him and
I
Tyler
mean,
are so
they're
good
so
together,
good.
but
Everybody's
they
yelling.
they bring individual things to the
You got me
mix
excited.
that are really cool together.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Just even their interviews together are so fun to see.
They're
them just
very
interact
goofy
as
duo.
friends.
They play off each other well.
They
Yeah.
play well, and I think
I'll check it
that
out then.
seeing them like post tour life together because
Mhm.
they went and they did a tour together. I guess it was Flower Boy that they toured together, and they're just talking about how that was their favorite tour they've ever done
Mhm.
because no one was trying to like push this idea that they were the top dog the entire time. They were just friends being goofy and hanging out, and like just talking about how everyone was like, "Oh, dude, that dude was so weird. I loved hanging out with him. That dude was so weird. I loved hanging out with him."
Yeah.
And like that, it felt like they weren't so worried about the facade of being cool. They were
Mm.
way more interested in how can we enjoy what we're doing more than anyone else enjoys what they're doing?
Yeah.
Just have fun.
Which is-
I feel like it's such a big
Tyler's
part of what we do.
very good at presenting himself as he's having fun all
Yeah.
the time.
Well, I
What
was watching some live videos.
What?
He's good at having a fun image about himself.
No, but I was watching some live videos from that. It looked like the most exciting show.
Yeah.
It was I Ain't Got Time.
Yep.
And he was like just jumping around everywhere, and like the crowd was like singing all the parts so loud, and it was just it looked like it was probably the most, I don't know, the most fun you could possibly have at a show.
Yep.
And it
Fun's
was great.
big.
It translated well.
Last thing I'll say, I mean, we talked about kind of lo-fi. There's a balance between something being lo-fi but still being clear, and we go back and forth on this all the time. There's what a weird thing to have a hi-fi recording of something lo-fi,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, the Mellotron.
I mean, yeah, but it's
kind
like
of a perfect example.
at what point does that like degrade though? You know, where it's like, man, that's so clear you can hear how shitty it is. You know, it's such a weird like that clean guitar in the beginning of this song. It's like, yeah, wait, what? I think it really, to be able to degrade something and then have other instruments back it up that are modern and super powerful is cool, because you get to play kind of both sides.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's why I like the placement of the Mellotron within our music, because we like to record things very hi-fi. So then when you also have a hi-fi recording of a Mellotron direct in, and then you have it panned, and it sounds so good, but it also is like, but you can tell that it's on tape from the 40s.
I would say that we're a mid-fi band.
Yeah.
Mid-fi.
I don't think that's a thing, but I'm making it a thing.
Got your
now.
mids right here.
Nice, beautiful.
Yep.
I don't know shoe terms, so maybe that.
I have a confession to make. I have a confession to make. This next song, I went to add it to the playlist, and I had already picked it from before we did podcast.
Oh, really? You've already done this one?
Yes. So, "Love to Lay" by The Weeknd.
You've done this. That's the one you've done before.
It was already in the playlist.
Interesting.
Did not listen to it before, I guess.
Thank you for that.
I feel like I did, but
I love this song. It's probably one of my favorite songs on Starboy, which I like his newest record. It's just not. It's not something I go back to.
It's a bit of a different approach. Like hearing this one, it's much more like here are pop songs, and they're going to be super catchy and super really good. It's cool, but you can tell that it's a different mentality going into it.
The synth bass in the chorus too is just, and like the filters on the drums that turn off. Anyway, just dancey. It's really dancey. I feel like his new record is much more moody. And you know me, your boy likes to get down. So, but I just spent a lot of time. I've spent a ton of time with Starboy.
That's one I still haven't listened to. I need to.
Yes.
I wanted to go back to the beginning. So after I listened to After Hours, I was like, all right, House of Balloons. I'm gonna start there and work my way back up.
I have not delved into like past Weekend that much, but
it's a little darker.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that I would have guessed that.
Yeah.
I feel like because he's kind of a dark individual.
Yeah.
It's even
Which is
in
funny
his
to hear,
theatrics.
To hear Starboy in this one, it's so like it's like I'm having a good time.
Yeah. But still,
and then
I
House
mean,
of Balloons is like, I want to die. It's like
give me death, please.
It's funny to see that progression. I mean, but it also makes sense from where he was at the time, because he was a homeless guy living in Toronto and putting out music, trying to make it, and literally living on the streets. And then now at Starboy, he's like, cool, I'm like one of the biggest pop artists in the world.
Yeah,
so
he's trying to be.
So,
he'll get there one day.
Like, I'm having a good time now.
Yeah.
And he
is, but he still
he
allows himself to be like, I'm having a great time, but I'm angry.
I mean, I think things have happened between Starboy and After Hours. Though,
I agree, because
it seemed to
I think Starboy's like the party record.
Well, Starboy's probably the one that he finally got to, and I don't know this, I'm speaking out my ass. But it's probably the one where he realized how successful he was and was on that top of the ladder stuff. And then After Hours is the aftermath of living on top of the world and being like, I am still sad.
Yeah, well, and also I imagine that while recording Starboy, that was probably what a lot of the content of After Hours is about, which is that being on drugs and being very gone. So it's like
he won a Kids' Choice Award for a song about cocaine. Like,
which song is that?
I Can't Feel My Face.
Yeah,
and it's like, I mean, there's a lyric in, I forget I just won a new award for a kids show. About like talking about numbing your face off a bag of blow. It's like, yeah, that's awesome.
There's a pretty fun American Dad episode with The Weeknd in it, and I think he actually does the voice and everything. He's like a character for just a single episode. But there's like a scene I keep thinking of where he's just so excited to live a normal life because it's during the Starboy tour era, I guess, for him. He was wildly successful, like you guys are saying. And he wakes up like in a bed. He's like, oh my God, this is so comfortable. Where do you guys find a bed without girls in it? It's like, he's like, man, I haven't folded laundry in weeks. Like, this feels so nice. It's just so dumb. But
I think that's, I'm going to be honest, Starboy's kind of like a Friday night hype up, like, get drunk, go to the casino, kind of like
Friday crazy night.
Yeah, that sounds about right for what he's
saying. Shout out Tullamore. But you know, like some of the lyrics, it's like I'm a straight white dude driving a car that I don't have paid off to the casino, where I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna come home and have sex with every girl that I know, and it's just like listening to gangster rap, and it's like driving around to my 9-to-5 job. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense, but. You know, let me have this for a little bit. Anyway,
nice.
That's a little insight
song,
into my
though.
life.
Yeah,
great song.
I really liked it. I'll have to get into Starboy.
I like The Weeknd in general, though.
Great.
Like
Great.
I
like him
still
as a
think that
person.
from a textural place with production, it's just beautiful. Like I still have not been able to dive into synth technology and understanding and how wires work. But I love it, and I want to because I hear the way that they just have things moving, and it's just inspiring. It's like when we were recording bass this last week, Jack stopped, and he was like, hey, no, can I listen to that again? Yeah, there's just not enough movement. I want more movement in what that is. And you can, when you start paying attention to those little nuances of like, I don't know, just textural.
It's probably still not the way I want it,
squishy movement.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Stop me.
Moog, Sub Fatty.
Yeah, it's
If
pretty
you
good.
don't buy it, I will.
I mean, that's kind of your range. I don't want to be.
I mean,
up
I know, but
the
I know
low
how you
end
are
there.
with keyboards on other parts of the stage, so we'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk.
Could be cool. Talking Heads actually do that a couple of times. I don't know what kind
I'd love
of
to have
keyboard.
something
It's
set
called
up.
But
the Big Fatty. What is it?
Sub Fatty?
Sub Fatty.
Because there was a mini, or I don't know, something.
A mini fatty.
I mean, I feel like it would be appropriate for me to have a fatty, but I'm just like, I was watching videos and I was like, if I don't have, it's under $1,000 too.
what?
Yeah,
I have under $1,000.
put it on a credit card.
That's crazy.
All of my accounts don't even equal that much money, but you know, one day. Anyway, Jordan, what's your pick? Right?
My next pick, if we're going through, is "Thank You Next" by Ariana Grande.
Stop. Here's my thing.
Yeah.
I have no every time we do this,
Yeah,
zero idea what you're gonna pick. Always surprised.
yeah.
But at the same time, not surprised. I'm just
When
like,
you listen to it, do you go, okay? Like it
no,
makes sense.
I've heard this song
Yeah.
over and over and over, and I'm just like,
Well, thank you for waiting so long to bring it up to me, Jack.
there's a Jordan dance that you do that's kind of like it's fingertips out. Hold on, let me just like this.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Jordan sway. The Jordan sway. And I hadn't even listened to it again, and I was like, I just see you like, thank you, next. Like Jordan listening to Ariana.
He has been singing it a lot at work.
Yep.
Jordan listening
love
to
it.
Ariana
I love this
Grande
song.
like
Walk
on his own merit.
pretty
I'm just
funny.
like, that tracks. It's
Dude,
right on brand.
But listening to it, because I had never really paid it much mind, honestly.
Yeah.
It's kind of just, I've heard the song, heard it referenced, whatever. But the production is incredible, first
Yes.
of all.
Mhm.
The layering of vocals,
Come on.
the lyrics are really good, too. I was
Mhm.
surprised by that. And not that I thought she was going to be bad, but like I just didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, it's going to be like a pop song.
She
Whatever.
wronged Pete
Oh.
Davidson.
She-
that's all I
she?
know about her.
Old butthole eyes. I will say this,
He's a
Mueller.
sweet boy, all right.
Mueller, what's your biggest worry about you writing lyrics?
My biggest worry?
I mean, you're like,
I can't write lyrics. That's my biggest worry.
no. You talk about being too literal.
Yeah, it's always too. I'm fucking sad.
I know, but she's literally just naming exes.
Okay, so I got.
Does she
notes
bring
on
up
this.
Pete?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does. Hey, did
Oh.
you listen to?
no,
the song?
this is one I did not listen
For
to.
Pete, I'm so
actually.
thankful.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
listen to this one.
It's actually really nice.
Yeah.
Talking about like she basically goes through in the first verse of the song the relationships that meant the most to her with Ricky, Mac Miller, Pete Davidson, talking about how she's like
what she
Yeah.
got from
Mac
the,
Miller. I
And
forget.
how she
Yeah.
appreciates them,
and
most
it's
of them.
like when they were going through and doing this song, I think I'm gonna mess the other woman that she was working with. I believe it was Janelle Monáe, but I can't remember for sure.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
When they were working on the song, she was on the side just like, "Thank you, next, thank you, next," and Ariana was like, "Shut up! What did you just say?" And like, and she's like, that's got to be a part of what's happening. And they started diving into the song, and immediately she wanted to bring in like for the first version. There's 3 versions of this song, and the
not know
first
that.
version is with the names.
Can
and
you
she's
find
like,
all 3 versions?
on someone's hard drive you can, but not out there. But they talk about it in an interview, and it was cool to see an artist of this high of status getting so emotional about something because she's talking about how like people look at her and think like, oh, she's not a real person. She doesn't really have real relationships. She doesn't really have the same kind of life. She's not approachable. And she's crying in this interview talking about how hard it was for her to recognize and let go of all these things. And it was a weird closure thing for her to be able to talk about, because she wrote this song while she and Pete were fighting over whether or not they were going to get married. So there's a version where she's getting married. There's a version where she's not getting married anymore. And then there's a version where there's like nothing to do with any of it. No names, nothing's mentioned. And when they were in the production part of it, everyone was getting so mad. They're like, no, we don't want to do we are not doing any versions of this without the names. But the producer was like, shut up, all of you shut up. She's got to go through this. She already knows. We all already know this is the version of the song. And it's one of the biggest songs that's ever come out.
But she had to work through it.
She had to work through it in the studio and go through the emotions of being like, I can't do this. I can't
again,
do
it's
this.
about tapping into the true emotions
be
of what's
real.
going on.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember
So
the social
for me to
media
connect with.
explosion when this song came out.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
literally every girl, woman, grandma I've ever met, it was on their story, and I was like,
Yep.
this is a song.
And it's funny too because she was asking her producers and some of her best musical friends, like, "Hey, do you think that this is going to be a problem if I release this song with these names? Like, is it going to upset people?" And they were like, "Absolutely, it will upset everyone. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You got to
It's
do
worth doing.
it." Yeah.
Because
So-
also people eat that drama shit.
Oh,
up.
yeah.
They just eat it up, and it's like, why do we care about who Ariana Grande is sleeping with? I don't know, but we do.
Well, we talk about just being honest within lyricism and how the songs, for me, that are the most inspiring for me of our own lyrics, Blue, On, and 3 Hits of Acid, and it's because those are 3 songs that when I was writing them, I stopped caring about whether or not it was going to hurt someone's feelings if I was honest.
And I think that's part of why I love On so much, is because the amount of time that you struggled, and then like that beautiful 6-minute song that came out of it, I'm just like, we get to play this over and over, and I get to be reminded of how much better things are now. You know,
Sure.
So
1 minute for every year.
1 minute for every year.
Literally just thought that. I was like, yeah,
you
6
did it,
long
buddy.
years
You
for
did
6
it,
long
buddy.
minutes.
But one of the other cool things about this, I've gotten way more into videos lately, and so Elena actually got me into this whole, like, a bunch of artists, Harry Styles and Ariana Grande, and people that I turn my nose up to.
we
because
now know that Elena helps you see reason.
she
which
does,
is good.
yeah, a ton. But
Ariana Grande is
she-
kind of pushing it, but the production is great.
oh no, she's so good, man. I actually literally just ordered one of her vinyls.
Hey.
But I think that her production's insane. The video for this song, though, is so cool because she decides to kind of parody a bunch of old chick flicks. Not old, but like it's I wrote them down, the ones that are, it's Mean Girls, 13 Going on 30, Bring It On, and Legally Blonde. And so it's
Yeah,
just
those
like
are kind of
scenes.
old
Those
now.
are so
Yeah.
old.
Well, yeah, sorry for. I mean,
Oh, that's
they're
I
pretty
mean,
old.
they're
30,
over 20
almost-
years
yeah,
old.
20.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're old enough that like you have to. You could go rent them at Blockbuster
Yeah.
on VHS.
Not anymore. You could have.
Yeah, I was going to say family video, maybe.
You could have.
Blockbuster.
When
yeah.
They
Blockbuster
were
was a
in
thing.
Blockbuster.
But it was just
At
really,
one point.
it was really fun to see these strange mock-ups, and there's drama within it too. Like it's got like talking scenes of people like going through, almost like it's a small short film, and I love that stuff. I think
That's cool.
that visual element it only continues to bring on more of what these artists are capable
It seems
of.
like that's happening a lot more lately. Like Kendrick's, a lot of the To Pimp
Yeah.
a Butterfly videos were that way, where they'd have like segments where they go into a bit of story and just kind of talk and go through some stuff. And I think in the weekends, it's the same thing for sure. It seems like that's kind of a style that's coming back. A lot more theatrical music videos, not just like here's we're gonna film something.
And talking about how so many artists, like from back in the 1920s through now, they started out being musicians so they could be actors.
Because they thought that's what was gonna last, is being an actor, not being a musician.
But you had to get your foot in the door.
Ariana Grande was an actor first.
She was.
True.
Yep.
What show was she on?
Victorious.
That's the
and
one.
Then Cat and
Never-
Sam, because it was the spinoff. Didn't
Never
watch
watched
that
it.
one, but I saw Victorious.
Yeah, that's what I got, guys. I think that caps it off for me.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't
Thank
even
you,
have to
next.
talk anymore about it. I just like thinking about you doing your little dance to it.
my little
Hey,
dance.
The Jordan
yeah.
Shuffle.
Don't be elitist, Jack.
I'm not.
Ariana
Again,
Grande she's good.
don't you talk to me about beating elitist.
Okay, Smash Mouth is not the same as Ariana Grande.
I think he's referring to Apple Music right now.
I'm referring to a lot to a lot of things, but we don't have to have this conversation right now.
All right, next up, Moeller.
All right, my second pick, Talking Like You, Connie Converse.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. I feel like I might have picked a song,
I think
one of
a
our
while
earlier
back,
Q
yeah.
episodes, way before we did this in this format. So I figured it'd be good to bring her up again. I like her. I listen to that album all the time. Unfortunately,
I like her.
I do. Unfortunately, that's the only album that she has. And there actually is a new recording that just somebody found, I guess, and put on Spotify, and I haven't listened to it yet, but I saw.
what I was confused about, because like her oldest release is like 2009, and
Yeah.
I was like,
So
I looked it up. I was like, oh, she's from the 20s.
So yeah, no,
Yeah,
she's
that's
literally
super old.
she's been missing since like the 60s.
Did
It was
anybody
like
find her?
74.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just, like,
70s.
looking
Yeah.
at it a little bit ago, yeah.
Yeah. She went missing. Yeah. Nobody in her
Oh, like,
family.
for real?
Yeah,
No,
like,
gone.
she
Gone.
really went-
She
yeah,
cold
I
turkey
was
gone.
making
I
a
doubt
dumb
that she's
joke,
still
but
alive.
She actually like went
No, so
missing.
that's
I think so.
those are the only recordings she ever did. I think she played and sang a lot of her life, but she was very misunderstood by her family. I think
They're like a Baptist
Yeah,
family.
it was a
yeah.
super religious family. I think she was gay, possibly. I think that's what I watched an interview where her family, I think it was like her brother or something, was like suspected that she was gay, and that's kind of what pushed her away from the family. But she left at some point, and I don't remember the details, but it was just one of those things where, yeah, people would leave back then. I mean, this was the 70s. You would be gone for maybe a couple weeks at a time, and nobody would think anything of it.
on a
But she
ship.
just never resurfaced. Her family tried to reach out to her, tried to figure out where she went. She was just gone.
Yeah, I read
Yeah.
that she just tried to like find a new life for herself
Yeah.
after, and she's just like,
So
okay,
nobody
yeah,
knows.
Earhart.
I mean, she
Something-
could very much well still be alive and
Like
kicking, but I kind
somewhere
of doubt it.
in
It's
She's
she's
pretty
pretty
dang
old. She'd be
old.
pretty
China.
old, yeah.
or something.
pushing 100.
No, yeah, and there were there were
It's the power of
several
music.
rumors about certain like cars that were found. I think like there was her car was found at some point that she had most recently been driving, and she was obviously nowhere near it. Anyways, I think it's an interesting story, but also she was a very weird, peculiar artist. She played guitar in a really strange fashion that I haven't
Yeah.
heard a lot of people play in. It's
Very cool melodic choices.
yeah, a lot
I
of
loved
weird
it.
chords that she just kind of jams together that you're like, I don't get this, but then the song plays through and you're like, okay, it kind of
And
makes
time
sense.
changes. And
Yeah.
really neat stuff.
Very interesting
And-
artist for her time.
I mean, I don't know when this was recorded.
These were all recorded. I think it had to have been like early 60s
Okay.
sometime
Yeah,
around
I'd
then
have to
because
think.
she went missing not long after, but also these were like at the height of her playing, I think.
Well, it's the only time she.
yeah,
played,
yeah.
so, yeah.
She was already a little bit older from what I understand. when
Incredible
she recorded
clarity.
those.
Yeah,
And I was like-
surprisingly, yeah.
That's why I was like, is this
But
this
it's
supposed
also
to be
it's also really badass how you can just hear her, like you can hear the people working the process or working the board or whatever, like just talking to her. And there's a song on the album actually where they're like, hey, what about this song? And she was like, no, actually I'd rather not record that one. And they're like, oh, just play it, we won't record it. Well, obviously they recorded it because it's on there.
Oh,
it's,
shoot.
it's a really cool song. It's like
Dang
a short
it,
little
Mike.
minute and a half to one or a 2-minute one. But no, it's a good album through and through. But that song is the first album on it, and it's the most interesting to me. Like melodic wise, chord wise, it's
I thought the
which
lyrics
one?
were great too.
Which one of
yeah,
these?
it's it's just a really nice feel good song about like loving somebody, and
Yeah.
a lot of the album is kind of
This is-
traditionally, which is weird about the whole, wherever she stood, sexual orientation wise, like the album is mostly about love songs. It's like she sings one about
just
Father
like-
Neptune,
Just
like
kinda
like
loving
just,
like yourself on Earth,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being like one with everything. It seemed like very.
exactly.
I
Listen,
mean, it was the,
talking
like this
about
love
different
time,
times.
Yeah.
If you had to run away to be gay,
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
I know.
That's-
Well, I
Today,
mean,
I feel like
it's hard to imagine like going back to the same thing of like that. So recently, it was illegal to get married.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
so recent.
That
so
was
I was like,
very
holy
weird.
shit! Like we were
Yeah.
watching Modern Family, and they're like
Yeah.
Cam and Mitch, they were just boyfriends. I was like, was that not allowed yet?
Yeah, no,
Like, you couldn't
it's
do that?
crazy, man.
Like-
that literally just
It
happened.
feels.
hey, love is love.
It
Okay.
feels like a different world.
It does.
Legitimately.
Like it feels like a different.
Would you say
alternate planet?
a whole new world?
Not necessarily.
I don't
but
know why you would
Yes.
say. But
Well, I did. It's sick.
recorded
I have
now.
an album suggestion for you.
Yeah.
Came out in '98.
Uh-huh.
It's "Dirt Floor" by Chris Whitley.
Dirt floor.
It's literally just one guy and an acoustic resonator guitar for the whole record.
Yeah. Let me put it in my phone.
I
You
heard
said
about
Dirks Bentley.
I went through a few of the songs today too. I heard about it originally from Miles Kennedy, who sings with Slash now, and it's just cool because I think it'd be right up your alley because it's.
Yeah. I like the
most of the-
singer-songwriter kind of.
But it's cool because it's like modern, kind of phrasing almost. Like he pulls major on a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
neat. I thought about it when I heard this. I was like, what was that record? That Chris Whitley record? And then I was like, yeah.
I don't know why I'm drawn to just guitar and vocals.
It
a lot
makes
of
no
times.
sense to me at all
Yeah.
why you're drawn to
I
that.
know,
Because you
especially
tell
as a
me all the
drummer.
time.
I
you
don't-
listen
He's
to
not
lyrics.
just
You
a
don't
drummer, though.
listen
No,
to.
but
You
as-
just listen to
There's-
like the general
instrument.
feel
The
of things.
Yeah.
the simplicity of a song when a song can make you feel so much and it's literally just like some shitty picked guitar.
You know, there's
and,
some
you know,
truth to that, man.
crude
Because
vocals.
I think that I was writing with an artist, Sinclair, in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe like 3
Shout
years
out
ago.
Sinclair.
And
She's great.
we were writing this song, and she goes, "Let's go do the piano test." I'm like, what do you mean the piano test? And she's like, if this song sounds good with just vocals and a piano, then it's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way that you can kind of judge
That's
things based
interesting.
on that. If you can strip it down to just the basic
Yeah.
arrangement,
Yeah.
and it still stands on 2 feet, then
Mm.
produce that.
The
Yeah.
Picasso
That's cool.
test.
Sure.
Picasso's test. Again,
Yeah.
a coffee
Yep.
house.
Picasso's.
I think it also depends on what you're wanting out of the song.
Right,
Because I
yeah.
very much agree. But also things like some of Talking Heads songs
Yeah.
definitely would not hold
No.
up if you were just like, yeah, this is going to be just vocals
The-
and piano. It's
yeah.
like, no, the production is a
Mhm.
big part of what
Well,
makes
exactly.
this.
That's just a different form
It's just
of
a-
art
yeah.
then at
Yeah.
that point.
Just
like,
Yeah.
being aware of
It's not
like how
singer-songwriters.
Right.
you write songs too. I mean, because you just sent a song a couple weeks ago. We were like, hey, I feel like I've been relying really heavily on this thing, and I want a song that kind of stands on its own.
Yeah.
In a
That
different
could
way.
basically pass that, like, it's that piano test of like, it's just, let's sing
Doesn't
it
sound
and
good just by
go
itself.
straight
Yeah.
through
Mhm.
instead of like, let's switch around like a bunch of different vocal stuff and
Right.
like do that sort of thing. And
Yes.
All right.
Uh,
No,
I
cool.
also read that
Very very cool pick.
Connie Converse's dad died before he ever heard her sing.
No way.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah.
what that's the Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
says. I
okay,
thought it was
yeah,
interesting that
that's-
it's like
That's where I
they-
got most of my information was
they
the
were
Wikipedia
so
page, yeah.
against her musical
Yeah, they were.
aspirations
Uh-huh.
that he legitimately just never heard her.
See, isn't that a shame, man? And she was great. That's the saddest thing to me is that she will never know that she was successful. I mean, not that it
Yeah.
matters. A lot of
Maybe.
people it doesn't matter
But
to.
it would be nice to know that
Right.
she was loved by so
But
many.
right, exactly. I
Well,
mean,
and how many people get like mad famous after they die? Who was
Yeah.
I just talking to?
a lot of people.
Who just
Yeah.
Honestly.
passed away? Oh, I was in the car. I think I'm about to get into a Mac Miller phase
Mm.
because
He
we
actually-
were playing Mac Miller in the car, and she's like, my friend Sahara was like, "Hey, I never listened to Mac Miller until after he died," and I'm like, "That sucks." Like, but that's a
But
lot of.
it draws your attention. You're like, oh, what did they? Like
does,
Jeff
yeah.
Buckley,
Uh-huh.
like at the same
Like,
type
why
of
do
thing.
people care about this?
Who did? I know I've done that with several artists. You wait until they die, and then you're like, I guess I should check them out. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kinda
There's some
sad.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I also thought it was interesting
Mm-hmm.
that she lived in Ann Arbor. which is where that
Oh,
Elvis
weird.
thing was.
Oh,
nice.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't put that together.
Hey, thank
Not
you
much
for
of a
picking
connection,
old
but
stuff.
like I just thought it was funny.
So
Thank
that
you for
Kanye
picking old
record,
stuff.
that's
Yeah.
the one where there's like talking, there's dialogue between her and like
Yeah.
the producer.
And
at the
whoever's
beginning.
recording
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and then
I
also
wondered what that was
Yeah.
about because it was so interesting that they chose to keep that in
Right.
there, and it's because he was straight up lying to her.
yeah, you know,
About the
he-
fact that he was recording and he
Legitimately.
he was like, so what caused you to do something like this? Where did you get these lyrics from? She's like,
Yeah.
oh well, you see, and like
Uh-huh.
kind of starts talking into, and then like it cuts off. And I was like, is this some weird drama that they've
Uh-huh.
put together to like make this album feel more
No,
alive?
I
or
think
is
she was
he-
probably just too scared
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
record,
No,
because
right, because I mean, you get well,
Yeah.
right, and you're recording everything to tape, so
Yeah.
she's probably like, "Oh, I'm not going to play this one if I haven't played it in years, and I don't want to butcher it right now." But also, it's just funny, hearing the dialogue between them, because it's just, it's so quickly stuff under the table. You're like, "Oh, damn, she'd probably be mad about that." 'Cause, like, he's like, "I won't record it."
There's
Yeah.
a
Then plays
there's a
5 seconds later.
that a band I talk
Yeah.
about every now and again, California Breed. They put out a record. It's the Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple, John Bonham's son Jason, and Andrew Watt, who produced Miley Cyrus's most recent record, and they were doing that, like recording straight to tape,
Yeah.
and they would be all nervous because they're like, I don't want to fuck this up, and
Mhm.
so he'd be like, all right, we'll just do a practice run. And then he was like recording the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's normally the first take that
Yeah.
you get it.
Uh-huh.
Because it's like you get out of your
That's-
own head.
That's
They-
what Shake Me Up was.
Yeah,
Shake Me Up was the one that we went with was the first take for us, and it was it was weird. We didn't even really
Same.
want to record that song. Like when we were recording it, we were recording and spending so much time with the other songs that we were doing, where we were like, yeah, we want to do it. It just feels so different from everything else we're recording. We don't even need to really focus that much on it. And then we got the one take done, and Matt
Nothing's
was like,
changed.
that was good.
We'd also tried to record it like 3 times.
Yeah.
In like random studios, and we're like, this
Yeah.
always just doesn't sound that good.
Uh-huh.
I think we were kind of just tired of it. We were like
Yeah.
burnt out.
Yeah.
At least I kind of was.
I
was like,
hardly.
Oh, I know
It's
you
not
were because I
working.
had to like drag you through it just for it seemed at the
Shake you
time
through it.
of finally
Yeah.
recording it. Let's get in there. Let's just do it. It's gonna be fine.
Now it's made us millions.
Well, we're not millionaires, and we
It's
also don't have
made
millions
us-
of
Yeah.
dollars.
It's made us at least $10.
At least.
Where is
Alright.
that?
It paid off part of a credit card.
Ah,
Would like my $2,
Pay up.
please.
I will take my $2.50.
It's already on a credit card.
Is it on my credit card?
Nope. Well,
Okay.
Let's
kind
get
of.
through the rest of this.
Yeah.
'cause we're
Yeah.
going a
Let's
while.
round home, shall
Okay.
we?
My third one is going to be Daniel Caesar with "Take Me Away."
This was a great song.
So good.
It was really cool.
I forgot which
This
one was your
this is
third one.
another one that is like I've been just listening straight through the record, and I was like,
Who is he?
let's pick one. He's just a singer. He's put out 2 EPs before, and it's funny. Jack Portia, my brother-in-law, he actually sent me this dude's EP a couple years ago. It's called Pilgrim's Paradise, and I was
Yeah.
like, it's okay. Like I don't know, it was a little bit boring, I thought.
Yeah.
And then I like randomly stumbled upon it again recently as like a related artist, and for something else I was listening to, and I was like, I'll check it out again. I remember him telling me about that. I'll see if maybe I like it more this time. And I was like, damn, this is really good.
It's funny.
This
No,
is
that
really
was the
cool.
Kendrick record. That
Huh?
was different. Dan was
My bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But which Jack actually, not this Jack, but Jack Portia also makes his own music. So shout out to him.
Check it out.
I
It's
did
actually
not know
really
that.
good. He was showing me some of the demos, maybe
Similar
like
type
4
of
or 5
style
months
to like
ago.
Daniel
Yeah,
Caesar.
really, really well done.
Yeah, weren't
Pop
you,
music, man.
I've never
at-
heard any of this.
Didn't Jack play at
Picasso.
Michaela's mom?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
he played,
Her book release.
Yeah, the book release.
Wasn't
Yeah.
it
You were there, weren't you?
I don't know if he was.
Right next to Mission Taco.
Book release.
Picasso's there.
I don't
Yeah.
remember
Anyway,
that.
probably
not.
I don't
Whatever.
remember.
But yeah, he plays too. It's
I
really
feel
good.
like he played at your mom's birthday thing. Whenever
Did he?
like, you and Michaela played a song together or
I don't-
something.
I don't
feel like I've seen him.
You may have.
Talking to
Yeah, I
now
don't
that we're
know.
talking about it, but
But
maybe not.
anyway, but yeah, he showed me this one, and it's such a cool blend of modern R&B and gospel, and like it some bits of hip hop and things. Because if you listen to the rest of the record, it's very tame. This is
I'm
probably
going
the
to.
most like
Talking about Daniel again, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel Caesar. It's probably this is the most like upbeat song, more of like a kind of driving, smooth type of thing. The other ones are a little more
Mhm.
relaxed.
Okay.
I know
And-
that we talked about
but
Frank
similar
Ocean.
kind of
Similar, like
R&B-ish.
yeah.
We talked about Frank Ocean in the last podcast a little bit.
a bit,
I think.
yeah.
Very Frank Ocean vibes.
But much more produced, because I think Frank
Yeah.
Ocean's like I've only listened to Blonde, but that one is very sparing when it comes to production. This one
Yeah.
has a lot of cool instruments going into
who
it,
is-
which I like.
Who's Sid?
I'm not sure.
That's the who's
Is
featured
that
on this.
featured? Yeah, I don't know. I
Um,
know there are a couple features on this record, and they're all really good. Her is on it, and then I think Caliuchis is actually on the first track.
Oh, really?
as well.
Love
Yeah.
Caliuchis.
The solo in it reminded me of the Jim Morrison, the Cars Hiss by my window.
Yeah.
It's like,
I guess,
I know it's
Yeah.
probably an actual guitar and not his voice,
Yeah.
but I was like, that's
That's
So
what
that's
I
even
sound
the
like
kind of
that,
stuff.
yeah.
Like I know we've talked about this a little bit. How we want to approach kind of that. How we go about our instrumentation very differently. Like I would love to play guitar and it never really sound like a guitar.
that's the best.
So that
way to
when
have
it
a
does
guitar.
sound like a guitar, people go, "Holy shit, a guitar!"
Yeah.
Like it sounds kind of like plain, but if you can trick people into making them believe that this instrument is something totally out of this world,
Well,
when
it
you
means
finally
you-
play it the way that it was expected,
Yeah.
it's way cooler.
And plus,
so-
everyone else
so
has
much
made it
cooler.
sound like a guitar. So
So
don't
many
do
times.
that.
I want to play
Yeah.
the bass and make it sound like a guitar.
See,
know,
I know
that
you
is-
do.
So I'm gonna take
I'll
that.
play a sub fatty.
No, I'm gonna play this up.
This makes me think about just watching, kind of Beach Boys like footage and stuff. I have never gotten past the insecurity of thinking about somebody else playing in my position, but like I kind of like that idea of bringing in studio musicians to do maybe something that you can't do or something you want to hear differently than how you're doing it. I think
Yeah.
it's really cool to feature musicians when you give them an idea, but like kind of produce it, but you have somebody else playing
Yeah.
it out for you. Like that's
It's an
Well,
interesting
it's
because you can get a
expanding the
different
band.
It
feel.
is, yeah.
Expanding the band. That's kind of what we've done in the past. I mean, think about how me or Logan or Jack would bring songs to you and say, "Hey, we want drums like this."
Remember when
and then,
I
like we can't do it.
remember the one
Go
and
do
only
it.
time
You've already done that for yourself. Just like it would be interesting
Right.
to expand
the one
that.
and only time I sampled drums, and you're like, "What the hell are you
Yeah.
doing? Let me write the parts." You were so mad.
I was. I was like, why would you do that?
But it
Especially it
was
was like
also,
early days of me
it
being in
was-
the band. And I was like, I wrote a song. And he's like, what the fuck are these garage
Wrong
band
with
drums?
you?
Well, they sounded so plain
Oh, they were
rock
s-
too.
well, it's
It
like-
was like, and Jack's like, it's a concept. It's a concept. Let
And
it
like
be a concept.
velocity is like all the same. It's great.
You were disgusting.
Never
He's
again.
right. You
It's
were
my
like,
one job. At least let me have it.
I saw an
Oh,
Instagram video like that. It was like, hey, you're not playing the drums like I, on the demo. It's like, well, I'm the drummer, so I figured I would know. He's like, no, just play what I wrote.
It does play well.
Oh, weird. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot more about that when
gonna-
it went into the song, but I thought it was just really cool. And there's a couple things on there. It honestly reminds me a bit of like Beach Boys type stuff. With
Yeah.
there's this a cappella bit in one of the other songs that starts off with this really interesting chords, but all a cappella.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. the
I'm gonna
way they
dive
go-
deeper into this one.
You
It was really
you
good.
should. The whole
Yeah.
record's really good. It's more of a
Try out the
relaxed
whole record.
kind of record, but it's
yeah.
really well done and really well written.
I just love again. I'm getting so I'm so in love with production right
Yeah,
now,
same.
and so to hear just like the introduction of this song, and it's got these like wavy, swirly, chorusy
that was
sounds
cool.
going on. I immediately was like, I'm already hooked.
yeah.
I'm already in on what's happening, and his voice is so smooth.
It's
Did
so
you say-
How it's crazy to think about how other
Smooth.
vocalists go about their voices, because when I'm singing, I'm thinking still in this vein of like Roy Orbison, and I like that for whatever reason, this operatic kind of a thing.
yeah.
And then I hear these R&B singers, and it takes me back to even, this isn't R&B, but how Tom York sings, and how that bridge
Yeah.
is so smooth. You don't feel him change from full chest voice to his head voice. Like the transition is
I could see
just like not noticeable.
Well, like,
And that's what they're doing in these R&B songs. So when I'm singing along, it's almost like I'm being taught how to sing.
well,
Yeah.
For,
and,
like, the first
being
time.
technical too, like being able to do runs and all this other stuff. It's like, all right, to have that level of control, super precision, and I think that's something. I mean, obviously we do 4-part harmony, so we have to be good at it to a certain extent, but also so much of what we focus on, I feel like, is composition and not always
Yeah.
execution.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you can look at that just at the demos I'll send over versus Logan's. Logan will send over something, and I'm like, it's already done. And I send over something, and I'm like, whatever. I messed up that part and this part and that
Right.
part, and I don't even
But
know
the
what those
the
lyrics
idea
are.
is there,
Stop
you know.
for a while here.
Yeah.
And then,
I'll send it to you. You're like, Jordan, there's no beat or rhythm to
Like,
this. Like,
what's the- I
what's
can't
what's the
follow
And then, you
it.
know,
what's
I
the-
send you
the
something that's got
signature?
drums on it, and you throw a bitch fit. You know,
Logan, you're obviously nailing it. Just keep sending songs the same way.
Just that little bit of auto tune, that little bit of just like.
yeah. But you know, I think precision is something that we can focus on even more. So, and you know, like when I heard the demo of 3 Hits of Acid, I was like, I've never heard your lead vocal sound like this. It's so polished in a way that I had never heard your voice in that context before.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do we keep chasing this? You know, and to a certain point, it gets to be too much. But it's like there's a happy medium there between where we are and where we want to be.
When
You know,
when
so.
I showed you that song,
That was so
actually, when
beautiful.
I wrote that song with Ted, I was terrified to show you guys because it was so different from anything
Well,
we had done, and our
Right.
mentality wasn't. It was almost like
It was
the
not that.
same
yeah.
concept of. We love this record. I can't listen to that one yet because it's going to be too jarring.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but like for our lives. And when that song was put together, I showed it to you, and I felt like I had a weird secret I was keeping from the other
Remember
two.
when we were like,
to be
well, you know,
like,
like maybe
I can't
me and
show
you
'em.
could just,
I can't.
we could,
Yeah,
we could chase this and we could tour it, you know, but because they're not going to want to do
they're
it.
not going to want to do it. They're not
I
going. They're going.
didn't.
I know.
I did
And
not.
then we still
like a
didn't,
week later,
and then
you
it was
did.
forced on us.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's not how it worked.
Sort of.
Well, yeah, no, it was
we
kind
got
of
rose-colored
forced, but
glasses now. But
for the right reason.
It took a little while for us to kind of figure out that there was a way to bridge that gap and
Yeah.
make it not just like a total pop record. We could blend in
Yeah.
some of like the self-titled
break that-
sound
womp
Yeah.
pedal,
Into
you know. That's all it took. Just me going
Yeah.
wow.
into
wow,
that pop
wow.
idea. But it also, I mean, since we recorded that the self-titled at the time, I think we were pretty much all just listening to like psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was
Yeah,
our whole
60-year-old songs,
Yeah.
pretty much. And
And
we were
then-
even in the studio. We're like, can you run it through a tape machine so it sounds old? And it's like, you mean like they did 60 years ago? And at
Yeah.
the time, we were so pissed about that.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh, I see. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm seeing a
We
lot clearer
really
now.
wanted to be not in this era.
Mhm.
And then when we realized you can't not be in this era, now I'm just glad I'm not in that era. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
glad to be
Honestly.
right where I'm at. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is
Look
the
forward,
perfect time
yeah.
for
I feel
music.
like music is at a high point right now. Honestly,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
am thrilled with where music is.
Yeah.
With Billie Eilish, Kendrick Lamar, Tyler the Creator, Childish Gambino. All
So
there's
good.
so many good and
I think it's-
super unique.
Don't forget my girl
records.
Lana.
Yeah,
Lana
It's very
Del Rey.
easy
I don't
come
feel like
on.
she's
to be
quite as-
disenfranchised, though.
I mean, yeah.
Her
It's-
last record was so good. Don't even play.
It's definitely great music. I just not as much of a step.
It is so
moving
easy.
forward,
All right.
but
So
really
easy
great.
to be disenfranchised, though, because like, you know, our parents look at, you know, pop radio and they're like, oh, that's garbage. But it's like you have to have an open mind about it. And
Legitimately
Take-
listening to Kendrick in the kitchen earlier today, my dad walks over. He's like, "You like this?" I'm like, "Yeah, a lot."
were you
I
doing
was-
the
See,
dance?
that's-
Were you doing the
I was
dance?
no, I was
It's
just, I was
the-
just watching videos of his live
It's the
performance. He was
opposite
like,
with my parents, man. My dad was the one that's like, "You need to listen to Billie Eilish," and I'm like, "I don't."
I remember. Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, I'll get
You should
around
hang out
to
with
it."
my dad.
And he's like,
I'm
"No,
gonna hang
no,
out
no,
with your
no.
dad."
Seriously, you don't get it. You need to listen." to
So-
it. I'm
so
like,
good.
But like use
She
what
is.
you have, like what we can learn and take from the success of what we like from 60 years ago.
Sure.
right.
Apply it as much as we can to right now, and then forge forward with a new sound.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah. yeah.
Anyway,
All right, thank
Um,
you. Next.
yes. Thank you. Next.
No, is that
No,
your
it's-
last one?
My last one, guys. I never thought I would be here.
I'm so excited for this part of it.
I never
actually.
thought
I've
that I
forgotten
would
what
be
it is, so-
sitting in
Well,
front of you.
soon we will
I'll
be
be surprised.
moving out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never thought Billy Joel would ever. Okay, here's a little backstory.
That was good.
So my dad built a crazy home theater in the basement, and I moved into said basement. And then my dad, at some point,
So you live in a movie theater?
I live adjacent to a movie theater, for the next month, and my dad, at some point, acquired this Blu-ray of Billy Joel live at Shea Stadium, like 2 nights.
And what does your dad do when he has company?
Every time somebody comes over, he plays this Billy Joel concert, and
Live
the
at Shea
speakers
Stadium.
are pointed right at my bedroom. And like Tony Bennett it's just a ton of guest stars like John Mayer, Tony Bennett. Tony Bennett comes out. He's like, sings New York, New York. He's like, I don't care if it's Chinatown. And he's like, he's just yelling. He's not even singing. It's like, this man is 98 years old. I don't even know is Tony Bennett still alive? Or
Yeah. We got to go
Anyway.
see him. It was great.
Lady
It's been
Gaga
a
and
little
Tony
bit now,
did
but-
that
Yeah.
whole thing together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He can still sing.
Like,
surprisingly.
Yeah.
I was just so disenfranchised by Billy Joel. I was like, I want Billy Joel to burn. And it got to the point where I would like
Bit
move the
aggressive.
Blu-ray to like a different drawer, and he'd be like, "Where's the Billy Joel?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's weird. Why can't you find it?" And
You're like setting up your dad to not be able to find it.
yeah, just because I didn't want to hear anymore. And so
You've been outed. Steve's gonna listen to every minute of this.
one of my friends and his parents came over and hung out with me and my parents. We had a play date, if you will. And shout out Andy in the Moats clan. And guess what Blu-ray my dad puts on?
Billy Joel
Nailed it.
nailed it.
I don't know how
I
you
used all the clues I got.
the context clues.
I'm Batman.
And I'm standing there. Maybe I had a few too many, but I'm like, this is really good. And I was like,
Finally got drunk enough to
I was
love
like,
Billy Joel. Is that what you just told me?
no. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to the Spotify curated This Is Billy Joel playlist. Starting at the top. And I was like, wait, I've heard this song. Moving Out by Billy Joel.
Yeah.
That's my setup to what this song actually
The longest setup. You
Ooh,
can't.
sorry, guys. What a great song.
No, actually, it's cool. Actually,
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's dramatic. I love dramatic songs. I love the beat.
Yeah.
It grooves. It gets me moving. I know.
I
Tack,
just
tack,
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's
it definitely has
okay.
that driving groove.
I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was gonna like it as much. When I
Something
saw
about-
your pick there, I was like, damn it, I gotta listen to Billy Joel because I get it. It's one of those things where it's almost like I want to go out of my way to not love Billy Joel the
But
way
you
my
like
dad
Elton John.
loved Billy Joel. I love Elton John. That is not the same thing.
But here's my
Very
thing:
similar
piano rock,
vibe.
Different.
piano
I
rock,
used to get them
disgusting.
for one another all the time as a kid.
Piano rock, gross. Get it out of my face. But
I'm a
Queen.
rocket man.
but also
Queen is piano rock.
might be good. Newsflash.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not as jaded as I once was because this song is so good. I think the only notes I have on this is I used to hate him and now I don't. So
Yeah.
do with that information.
I actually
know
really
nothing
love the
about
lyrical
Billy Joel.
content
Yeah,
of it
same.
too. Like I was impressed. I don't know if you dove much into the lyrics
Yeah.
on that, Jack,
Did
but
not.
just like
I
kind
don't know
of
who Anthony is. but-
chasing after something just so you can't even enjoy it. Like to
Yeah.
the point of like, what are you even going for in life? It was actually a really
Zach,
thoughtful
I'll get
song.
For
Yeah.
your money.
It
Yeah.
was much better than I expected.
I-
Going
it's
into it,
so
I was
much
like,
better.
Billy Joel.
It's like Smash
It's just
Mouth.
all of my picks. Listen, the overplayed and the sussed out songs. I'm here to tell you and remind you that they're still good. Okay, the
True.
Smash Mouths,
Sometimes
and
you
the
have to
Billy
see past
Joels.
it. Yeah.
yeah, but and the no need to be elitist with your jazz
But I have
on
been-
your
no,
mountain.
No, but I've been
No,
trying,
that's fine. No, it's cool.
They're
It's
gonna
what I
fine.
throw
mean,
hands.
though,
It's fine.
is-
It's cool.
They're gonna
Is,
throw hands
no, what
up.
I was meaning is it's something that it has taken, like back when we were talking about like I only listen to 60s rock.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I've been trying so hard to just be like, what can I find that I like about this? Much more so
Yeah.
now, you know, and like because like Ariana Grande, I would have hated Ariana Grande like a year and a half ago, but it's like, but this is actually cool. If I like stop being a bitch about it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this is cool. Like,
Yeah, you don't have to be. I'm glad my Beatles phase is over. I'm still always gonna love the Beatles,
Well, it's
but I'm not
getting-
just like, what Paul McCartney
Yeah.
have for breakfast?
As
You
much
know?
as I don't really care for Smash Mouth, it is better when you step back and you're like, oh, Smash Mouth. It's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
but they're playing good stuff in there. I don't like his voice very much, but like,
yeah,
this is when
Appreciate
you
it
get away from it. It's
in
better
the ways
than
that you
I
can
think.
appreciate it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, this like Billy Joel is much more like rock centric than I even realized, and I was like, I kind of like this almost better than Elton John. Haven't gotten too far into either, but off the cuff, I'm just like, damn it, I like Billy Joel. It's cool. It's fine. I'm at terms with it. I sleep fine at night on a bed not made of money. But anyway, anybody else have anything to say about this? Because we can just move right
Not so
along.
much.
I think it's good. I think we nailed it.
Yeah.
We're moving
man.
on.
This is my last pick. It is Earthquake by Tyler the Creator.
I don't know if you knew this. He spelled the
Earthquake.
title wrong.
Oh shit, that's an
Earth.
embarrassing typo.
Yeah.
It's Earthquake.
Isn't this guy like a professional?
Yeah. No, I love. This was the first
Literally.
I don't even know what to say about this. I think I'm just kind of in love with Tyler. Maybe that's really what it is. Is like just who he is as a human being.
Can I
Like,
say this
I'm
now?
His capability,
charming.
Yeah.
too. It's just like
It's so not trying to impress anyone for any reason other than the fact that he just likes it.
Can I
And
just say
I love it.
now?
Yeah.
Incredible wig.
Incredible
Back-
wig.
We circle back.
Yeah.
Really great wig. It's like the you know the kid in the Santa Claus, where he's got like the bowl cut, but it's parted in the middle.
Yeah.
It's that wig, but blonde. It's so good.
I
It's coming back.
I think that the way that he's gone about, he's creating a person for his album. It's like he created the album is alive kind of a thing,
Mhm.
and it is an actor, or like it is its
Yeah.
own entity and story. And I
It's
love the way they've
it's
gone
Ziggy
about it.
Stardust. It's whatever. It's
For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And something that's, I mean, I was watching an interview that he did that's on Apple Music, and it says on the front of this cover, written and produced by Tyler, the Creator. And as I dove a little bit deeper into that, it is true a lot. And he said he got a message, and someone was saying like, Tyler, no one cares that you wrote and produced this record. But it was really cool because he mentions how at the same time there were other records coming out with like everyone that sold billions of records. And he, with this record, was able to beat them in like winning the Grammys for best rap record. And he just thinks that he's not. And he even talked about. He's like, "There's no disrespect. I love these other artists, and I love this other record that came out. I think like they're really cool, whatever." But it's insane that he can create something that's so the other way from pop music.
Yeah.
And that is what's winning, which comes back to the thing we just talked about. It's so cool to see where music is going.
yeah.
Well, something as delicate as a creative process, it's like the same system is not going to work for everybody. You know, it's like if you can create something that you're more happy with by doing it yourself, do it yourself. But if you can't and you need help, then do that. You know, everyone's talent needs to be nurtured in different ways.
Well, and also I was gonna say too, like about like being excited about what's happening. It's another thing that it's hard to realize how new hip hop and rap is. Considering, I mean, it kind of was being born in the late '80s, and then had its like golden period in the '90s. Yeah. It really reminds me a lot of like rock, and it's this new genre that has recently been created. We had like the late '80s and '90s, which is like the Elvis, B.B. King,
Those rock
standards
that are kind of
Chuck Berry,
blues turning into rock.
Exactly, and it's like those are like the ones that's like these are like the icons that created this new genre, and then now we're getting into the like late '60s of rock, you know. So now it's like this is like we're changing stuff and getting into this new aspect. Like so now we have like the Floyd's, Doors, like
so far
with Kendrick and and Tyler.
I love that crossover of the mixture of jazz sounds and new age hip hop. I think that's what's been my favorite so far.
Yeah,
the most inviting to me. Yeah. Tyler as an artist though, there's something so refreshing about somebody who's so genuinely himself. Every one of his interviews, there's not like it's literally just him. He doesn't try to be anybody. He's goofy as fuck.
He's not trying to show up.
He's just it's
real,
literally
mad
100% him, and you can tell. I love it so much. He never. It's not like
and all this stuff that he's involved with. I don't think he got time to bullshit. You know,
Right.
Well, he even says one of the things that he said so much, or that he said that I've loved as much as I've loved is, do you even like the shit you say you like? Do you even like it? Like, or are you just following hype because that's what you think is cool in that moment? Like, do you really like it? And that just I think about it all the time. I'm like, how much of the stuff have I curated since I just decided to start liking things or wanted popularity in some sort of clique where I liked that stuff because I thought it would involve me in a group that I thought was cool versus just being like, no, I like this stuff. Like
moving out,
getting
to a place that you thought you wanted to be, and it turns out it sucks.
Yeah.
It does.
I just, in Earthquake too, going back to the written and produced bit, it was mixed by someone else. He's got a mixing guy, and it's Neil Pogue. Okay. And he did Lil Wayne, Outkast,
or is it Poog?
and Nicki Minaj. Like he's done like a bunch of other mixing bits for other really popular artists, which I can see the Outkast 100% in what.
Hey ya.
Like, I don't know about that one specifically, but that's the
You just said Outkast.
Jackson.
Yep.
Love Outkast.
Well, that's the band we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like Neil Pogue produced Outkast or mixed Outkast.
I know that it probably isn't, but I want to say Poog just because that's
Pogue.
Oh,
Pogue.
it's like
It's Pogue.
like Rogue.
Yeah.
Or like Prague.
But yeah, and it just like the fact that he still has that. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of like having someone else mix. We've talked about that before, and the guy that we
kind of am.
Mix 3 Hits of Acid and Shake Me Up for this record. I love the way that was done.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's the guy for everything we're doing. I think we're still in the search for that, and we probably always will be.
Did come in at the 11th hour though, and
Yep.
kind of fix
True.
some things. But I want to talk about the soundscape of the song really quick.
Get it?
I love this kind of trend of like a big, wide open, simplistic beat that is just filled with other rhythmic, like this arpeggiated synth that's in this song.
Mhm.
It's like this beat is super. It's almost like kick snare, super
Yeah.
simple, and it's filled not all, but almost all of those gaps are filled with other texture. I mean, I'm just describing music at this point, but I'm just like, the deliberate decision to be like, hey, this doesn't have to be like what could essentially be played on like a double kick.
Yeah.
It's effective and it's simple, probably because it's simple. That's why it's so effective.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
cool too.
I like
Even though there are really great vocals on this song, this was. I mean, there's a lot that I even want to dive into this. I guess Earthquake is not necessarily my favorite song on the record, but it's the first song Tyler wrote for this record. At least the one he said. It's the first one he wrote, and I think that it's a great introduction to what's going on. He's got a lot of really great songs on this record, but it's just a great look into the kind of music and direction that he's been willing to go. He's talking about how much he loves the 80s. He used to hate the 80s.
Yeah.
I
Very
hated
What about-
the
yeah.
80s growing up, and then I found out it was so much more than
Rick Springfield.
Rick Springfield and Def Leppard.
Tears
and
for
Yes.
Fears.
And
we got Tears for Fears, Duran
The
Duran,
Cars.
we got
Yeah.
the Cars, Talking
Ooh.
Heads,
Let's go.
Stevie
The
Wonder.
Cars.
Like,
There's
The
some
Cure
great
actually gets
shit.
me. I
The
know a lot of
Cure,
people say
yeah.
The Cure aren't that great.
Michael
They kinda
Jackson's
give
in
me
that
once in a
era
while.
too.
Yeah.
Like it's
still haven't really gotten into Michael Jackson, to be honest.
from a production standpoint, it's
It is.
amazing.
It's
It's
just-
amazing.
I actually
I haven't-
haven't given him a chance.
I know, I
know
feel like
all
I
the
need to.
Jackson
Van
standards,
Halen, come on
you know?
now.
Man in the Mirror.
See, you were elitist.
No, I just
How's
don't really
Jazz
care
Mountain?
for it. I don't really care for
How's
it.
Jazz?
I saw Van
And
Halen
that's
live,
fine.
and I'm
You
so
know?
happy that I got to see them live. But they're a band that I
Yeah,
think
but-
was great for that era, and they
Yeah.
don't. In 40 years, they will only be great from like in my perspective for the things that they were like the biggest for: Jump
Right.
and Eruption.
that
and
one
Hot for
single
Teacher.
era, frozen
Like,
in time.
It's
Yeah.
like they can only.
It's what
live
they
there.
contributed and not what they continue to contribute.
Yeah.
That's kind of what like Journey falls into for me. I feel like they're
Yeah.
kind of that one era. They didn't
They didn't
grow
influence.
with
They
each other,
they
right.
like just were, and then it's like, all right.
Right.
They were
We
really
like those
popular in that
songs.
time, and I don't think that they did too much more other than Eddie Van Halen to bridge the next gap over into what is
Yeah,
music
he
gonna
did
be.
a bit more.
We
with
digress.
His
I
guitar
didn't
playing.
mean to throw us with
Mhm.
I get up.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anything else on that other. Those piano runs in that song.
He's
I
a
don't know if
keyboard player first. Tyler,
What?
yeah, Tyler is a keyboard player before he's anything else.
that he played that on piano.
He,
Did you watch
yes,
his
he's-
Tiny Desk?
I did not. I need to.
Should. It's so good.
So he
Holy
talks-
shit,
he
that
is,
was cool.
He is actually like that's what I think is so brilliant about him.
Okay, why is this in my brain? Why is there this like blank slate of like, oh, maybe it's the way pop artists are brought up. It's like the Elvis thing, like you have enough talent to where we can put you in the right spot and you will flourish. But it's like now I have that same ideology with new pop artists where I'm just like, I don't know how talented you are,
yeah.
Well, right, because you hear a lot of
because
these
people
artists
can be
now.
famous for no
Yeah,
reason,
right,
or maybe
yeah.
not. Maybe there's
I
a
always
reason.
wonder about that. How do they pick these people that just can't really even sing? And it's
Why
like,
can't-
why were they? the
why
one
can't we
picked?
be
Right, like
picked?
why? So they're playing all songs. That
Who's gonna
aren't
pick
theirs.
us?
Somebody else
Every
wrote
song
it.
is written
Their
for them.
voice is
Yeah.
playing. They can't sing it live. Why
How
did
did
somebody
they end
else
up
not
there?
do it?
Yeah.
Like,
How
yeah.
did they?
Did
I
we
was
ask
available.
a singer? Did we ask a singer if they wanted to sing
Yeah.
it before we asked
I
this
mean,
person?
That doesn't happen that often because usually they can at least sing their song and they have an appeal within their voice. But every once in a while you get them just like somebody else is more deserving of that spot for sure. Yeah,
Well, Tyler's definitely deserving
yeah,
of this spot,
he-
and he
very much so.
crushes it. Absolutely.
Which I thought
That's
it was-
interesting.
I thought it was interesting too that he doesn't really rap at all on this one.
There's
And I know
like
that you
a
said
couple moments,
he's
but
not really
like
wanting to be known necessarily as just a
no,
rapper.
he
so
wants to. He goes, I know my voice is like he says he sounds like a monster, and even though a lot of people love it, like he said something about like that shit's cute and all, that people think that I have a good voice, but he really wants to sound more like a Stevie Wonder type thing. He wants to go in these soulful runs, and he can't. So he's like, well, you know what? I don't really want to be known as a rapper. I would rather be known as a director or someone in the same vein as Quentin Tarantino and Wes Anderson.
The versatility is very admirable. It's very cool.
So
strive for a similar thing.
His mind is beautiful.
Yeah.
You want to bring us home, Moeller?
Yeah, last song. I know this is one that you guys are all familiar with. I'm probably the last to the boat on this one. Cabin Essence.
I'll just say it's about damn time.
Smile Sessions.
Because I was late.
Yeah,
like, I was late, and so if you're after me,
no,
you missed
Beach Boys.
the
Well, it's because
train.
Beach Boys were easy for me to pass off because, like, obviously I knew the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
I knew
it's another one of those
a
things.
good
You need to,
handful
like,
of songs that you're like, I know what they sound like. I don't really need to dive into
But
it.
the fact that this didn't come out till 10 years ago,
Right. It changes a lot once you actually start getting into it, and that, from a production standpoint, has made me a lot more excited about the possibilities because Cabin Essence, the coolest thing that keeps popping into my mind every time I hear it. It's the little things they could have done in such a simpler way. So like just the little background harmonies that are like ascending and descending. Obviously they were doing bas and das and all that dumb stuff all the fucking time. But yeah, instead they're doing, and it's the weirdest noise by itself. It would sound so dumb, but it makes the song for me.
Isn't that paired with a banjo?
Right.
Too,
it gives it such
what's
a
happening in this
weird,
song?
bouncy, like
it's a
distorted
caricature of what they're like trying to do. You know,
but
what I'm
it's
saying?
also it just
works perfect.
Absolutely.
It was cool learning about the history of that song. That was one of the few songs that made it from those sessions where they were like all fucked up on drugs. They were smoking a lot of hashish or whatever, and
Brian was.
Yeah, well, no, it sounds like a majority of them were. Yeah,
I'm sure that they were, but like the Beach Boys came back. At least that's the story.
Square Mike Love, he was probably over in the corner going ba 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 ba.
Well, I heard that's like one of the big songs that really pushed him over is when he had to sing that over and over.
Yeah, crow cries uncover the cornfield. That part ruins the song for me, by the way. No, I don't.
I really like it.
I really like it sounds like Grizzly Bear is what draws me to it, but I love everything but his part. I can't do it, but
like that whole section, I think
his
really
lead
cool,
line. I don't like his lead line over the whole.
He apparently hated the lyrics. He's like, "What the hell am I even singing
really,
about?"
Yeah,
and
Mike,
and
sorry, you're not singing about tropical drinks,
listen,
Mike.
You really can't tell by his over and over.
Oh, you can now that I know what he sounds like, I can't unhear him when he sings. Yeah.
I try and like
the Tom DeLonge of his day.
Yeah.
I try to just block him out as a part
As
of
you
like,
should.
the Beach Boys. Like it just isn't really a part of the Beach Boys.
For me,
He's
it's
a part
Brian
of,
Wilson. It's begins and ends there. It's like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
he's the
Love
boss.
to me,
You
but-
always hear him in the boss.
Yeah.
Mike Love is the opportunist of the Beach Boys. I feel like.
He could
It
never
was-
have written fun anyway.
Yeah.
Though. So
No, yeah.
because it's still like listen to it.
Mike
and
Love,
there's
if
good
you're
stuff
watching
going
this, nice hat, buddy.
Well, no, so the
love that
coolest
band.
thing about that song for me was that it came out of those sessions where they were recording a few other songs, but then there was like a fire down the street from the studio, and they were working on a song Brian wrote
The
called
Elements.
Yeah, and it just
Fire.
they brought in like a bucket of wood, and they were actually burning like wood in the studio, and they were all wearing fire hats and stuff, and they were all messed up, on whatever they were smoking at the time. And there was like, a fire down the street, and like I guess he like panicked and was like, "We caused this somehow through something." You know what I mean? This is connected.
Just super
so
paranoid.
They like burned all the songs from that day or from that week or however long they had been working. They ruined like 4 or 5 songs, but Cabin Essence was one, and they kept it. Apparently, it survived.
I think
That's
that
so
And so
weird.
it's thrown
It's so
into that
weird.
section of
I love
Smile
it.
Sessions.
Incredibly weird.
It's not recorded at that time. It was just kind of thrown in, I guess, between those songs. But I
think
really
Kinda
that
reminds
we
me a little
need-
bit of like the Jack White thing, where like when he was growing up, he would create art and poems and records, and he would just hide stuff in the
into
upholstery
couches.
that
Yeah.
he would do.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's just art that's out there that no one knows about.
Right.
Have we
Yeah.
checked this couch?
No.
See, that's the crazy thing, though, is like they burned those tapes. They're not. There's no hard drive. That like,
Yeah.
they're just sitting
Yeah.
on a desk somewhere. You know what I mean? They're gone forever.
I think that we need a podcast that's just completely dedicated to Smile Sessions, because
Just
There's
today
so
we're going
much.
to talk about Smile
Yeah.
Sessions.
No, today we're gonna talk about this song.
Today we're going to talk
Smile
about our
Sessions.
prayer.
it just when it opens up. Such stark contrast between the two parts of the song that go back and forth.
Yeah.
And when it opens
Yeah.
up like that, you're just like, oh,
Which is
I love it.
there's also that weird thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I'm sure you have, but like halfway through the choruses, which are just a
Yeah.
blob of noise.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But there's like a white noise that's happening, and it turns off halfway
Oh.
through.
I didn't hear it because I don't have Apple Music.
But it's so
I'll let
irritating.
you borrow the
Once
vinyl.
it stops, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what that was. That was that. I
Damn,
like that.
I haven't noticed
Listen
yet.
to it
yeah.
again, like in headphones,
Yeah.
and you'll definitely hear when it stops.
Yeah.
You
Like
don't really
what
notice it at
is
first.
what's being taken out?
That's what I've
I
always
don't know
wondering,
what
and
it
I can't
is.
tell.
I love Cabanescence so much, but I think it's right after Cabanescence ends that My Only Sunshine starts. The
Yes.
I
the cello
freaking
part or
love
whatever.
that.
Is
I
it
don't-
after that?
I can't
I
remember.
think it's
I thought
right
it was
after that.
earlier than that.
I
but
think
don't
it's right
know.
It's
after.
right
'cause
after.
Well, and that pitch bend down. That's such a. Oh.
I've always thought we should do that one live because we can totally do
Yeah.
do it on like the Mellotron and like some other
Yeah.
stuff.
It's such a
Yeah.
feel
I
good
still
beat
want to
that
do
comes
Our
in.
Prayer. Just, like, it would be so cool to walk out to Our Prayer.
We should just do all smile.
So we're gonna
That's a
do
new
a
idea.
whole Beach Boys.
We
Smile
have the
sessions.
fireman's hat.
Well, we can't do our prayer and not go into G, obviously.
Yeah.
And then you
Um,
can't do G and then not go into heroes and
I
villains,
know, yeah.
obviously.
And you can't go
I
to
love
Heroes.
Oh no! So I did just watch 2 songs from their Live Aid set in Pennsylvania or wherever in Philadelphia. I think it's 85.
Yeah, that's
and
the
Brian,
same. The,
yeah,
the
Brian
Queen
plays
one.
on that one, and he looked.
Yeah,
I couldn't even recognize him because he actually, I guess, had just recently lost weight in that, and like he
Yeah.
looked kind of weird. He was wearing like a cutoff shirt, and he was standing up at a keyboard. Super strange for him, but it
Brian,
sounds,
what are you doing?
It sounds terrible.
I'm
They play
Brian.
Good Vibrations, and just their vocals are clashing so bad.
There's okay. Speaking of which, we can, okay.
They weren't
Beach,
really a live band.
welcome,
No,
welcome
but-
to Beach Boys Hour. There's a, you know what this is? It's like a theremin, but it's
he plays in
played.
Good Vibrations.
Owns Martineau. Is that what you're talking about?
Huh?
An Own Martineau. Owns Martineau or whatever it is.
I can't find one.
Is it the
You
what you're
can't.
Is that the
You
one
gotta
you're
get
talking
an
about?
Ondomo if you want. That's
Yeah,
the
they're
closest
good
thing to it.
Modern one. They're
Yeah.
expensive.
Yes,
But
please
it's
send
what,
me
Got it.
something.
Johnny-
It's saved. It's saved in my Safari, like so that I can go back to it one day if I ever have money to get one.
Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead
Oh.
uses it a lot.
Yeah.
He has one
Yeah.
Because there's a
an
string
actual
on it,
one.
right?
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah.
a guide
and it
string.
drags along the
Yeah, that's
So
really
cool.
cool.
and then you can shake it and it has like the
Uh-huh.
vibrato.
See, that's what I keep seeing those. I don't know if it's like it's not a Wurlitzer, but certain kind of keyboards like Rhodes or something that have that pitch bend in it, that big
clavinet.
bar or whatever.
Clavinet.
Yeah, where-
Clavinet.
Like the
Yeah,
dude from Crash
yeah.
Kings.
I like
Mm.
those.
Yeah,
Those are cool.
And
It's
Stevie
like a-
Wonder,
a whammy
Herbie
bar for your
Hancock, yeah.
keyboard.
I think
That's
that
cool.
we need to invest in a Beach Boys episode of
Yeah.
In the Queue.
Might have that happen.
We might.
They're so good.
I will say one thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw news
Roll
about
Brian Wilson is.
from a
Yes.
week ago. Spotify is going premium, and they're doing higher
Double
def than Apple
premium?
Music. But
It's because of me. I
It's
I,
because-
know, I know. I just canceled my Spotify. Finally, it took me
Maybe.
forever to do it.
They're
And
like-
I was like, "Why are you leaving?" I was like, "I would happily come back." But
If
I-
it was
but
a
the-
bad-
they're
The
like-
CEO of
they're like,
Spotify.
"Shit, we got. He's coming back. If we do it.
he watches this
Just
podcast.
copy title. We're just gonna copy
Here's the
title.
thing.
We get
Here's the thing.
No Man
is
Left
It's an
Behind.
upgrade from premium, so it'll probably be more expensive than Apple Music.
I even told him I'd pay more, so that it's because of that.
Honest, I
Logan,
just like.
this just in.
I
Logan legitimately
single-handedly-
believes
Yeah, look it
that
up.
he is the reason
Uh,
you are
It
now
was
going to
really
get
funny,
higher
though, that
fidelity
they did
music
it
out of
finally.
Spotify.
anyway,
This does not mean that as musicians we will make more money from Spotify. We somehow will make less. It will cost
Probably.
more
Yeah.
for you to
whoa,
listen to.
yeah. If we pay more for Spotify, we will have less money.
Yeah.
All right, Apple Music, I'm flirting with you, baby. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Good convos.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much
Um,
for following along this long. If you're still here with us, we love music.
And we love
really
you.
like to
Talking about
talk
it.
about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
We should do an in the queue where we let other people pick the songs.
I would
Ooh.
love
We
for
break
other
them down.
people to
Look
pick
into
the
'em?
songs.
Yeah.
and
Crowdsource. Maybe when we get the Patreon up and running.
or
we're-
anybody to watch.
Yeah, if anybody
If you-
You've
if you're
ever
still
watched
here-
this
if,
ever?
if you're still here, we're moving in
Drop a
about
comment.
a month's time. So I mean, not like you've
Moving
gotten
out.
used to this set. It's changed every episode.
yeah.
But we're gonna try to have something a little bit more permanent set up and get these out on a more regular basis and different content too as well. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.
Bye.
Watching for things.